Bisbee, will you call the roll?
Yes.
Mr. Chapman?
Here.
Ms. Fox? Ms. Fallett is absent. Mr. Homburg? Mr. Stein is not here yet. Alder DePula?
Here.
Alder Holmquist?
Here.
Mr. Grease? Here. Okay.
All right, and item 3 is approval of the minutes from June 22nd, 2026 and June 30th, 2026. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve?
Both sets?
Yes.
Is there a second? All right, any corrections? You're going to want to do the motion. Any edits or corrections? See none? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? All right. Minutes have been approved. There's no change in the order of business tonight. Appearance section. If there's anybody that wishes to appear on an item that is not noticed for a public hearing section or isn't on the agenda, you're going to want to fill out a form, and right now would be the time to speak. If you're here on an item that is noticed for a public hearing section, we'll do the that hearing at that time, so not at this time. Right. I'm sensing everybody that turned in one of these, you're all good to go? You're on an item that's on the agenda, not a general item, correct? All right, we'll close the appearance section. We can move on to unfinished business. The first item is the public hearing on the request by New Wall Development, represented by JLA Architects, for the consideration of a general development plan, or GDP. And this is for the site located at 4711 Monona Drive. And this is for a multifamily development, case number 2026. And who do we have from the development team to start us off? All right, come on up to the mics. Again, during the public hearing part, if you can give a brief overview of what it is that you're asking to do. I know you've been here before, so if you can give an overview of maybe what changes you've made, what feedback that you heard the first time, and that way we'll move on to the public comment section. But that way they have some additional information that you might have to share. Right.
And that's exactly how we have it set up.
Perfect.
So, perfect.
Hi, I'm Matthew Murtos with Noel Development, joined tonight by Tammy McCullough and Garrett Price from JLA Architects, and John Powers from Powers Contracting and Development, our owner's representative for the project. We are here today to share revised plans for the proposed multifamily redevelopment of 4711 Monona Drive. Notable changes being presented today include a reduced unit count and additional stepbacks on the 5th floor. Additional information will also be shared, including a building height study, a landscape plan, a shadow study, and further developed building elevations and details. We look forward to hearing your comments and comments from the neighborhood tonight. I'll turn it over to JLA at this time to go through the presentation.
Is there a slideshow?
Yes, there's a slide deck.
Sorry. Share my screen. Perfect. Okay.
Just tell you to click through it.
All right, you can go ahead and go to the next slide. You can hear me? So here's just a quick introduction. It's the same verbiage from last time. I'm not going to read it to you guys, but just an overview of the map. You can see 4711 Monona Drive, our site address in the red dot, and a couple green dots just showing the adjacencies of some current structures. The visible to the lake, the beach, the high school, and the closest apartment building, which is Bloom at Monona Drive. So here's just a set of all the revisions that were made per our April meeting. These revisions were following revisions and studies that were following the concerns of the community along with the Planning Commission. A couple of revisions were We're reducing density in unit size, building setbacks along the 5th floor, along the north and the west sides, the same as we were previously doing along the east side on Monona Drive. What that does is provide a little bit of a setback, and it gives the aesthetic of a feel of a 4-story building, not a 5-story building, as we kind of push back, and helps with the density. We also redeveloped some of our townhome elevations along with color changes and patios and entryways added, and we changed the color to kind of just to entwine with the more of the neighborhood development, less of a cooler color, more of a warmer palette. And then the entryways also kind of help reduce the eye of the density, giving a patio entry covered roof. We did some surface parking moving around. We added spaces for turnaround and deliveries of vehicles. As the project develops, we worked on our column grid and shifted our parking, along with other additional related with interiors. And we also did a numerous amount of studies regarding open green space, shadow studies, tree and lighting adjacencies, and building height. And here's our site plan. You will notice along the right side, Monona Drive, the left side, Gordon Avenue and Starry Avenue coming down the middle. You'll see our 3-story townhomes that are neighboring the community residence neighborhood towards Gordon Avenue, and the heavier density portion of our street along Monona Drive. Go through our typical building plans here. This is our underground building plan. You will enter for parking. You will enter in off to the top left there via ramp, and then towards the south of the plan you have our townhome garages. The major change here was we added more area wells for light ventilation and kind of restructured the column grid. We are still over on our parking calculations for the city. As you go up to the main level, you'll come in from Plan North off of Monona Drive. Circle around the building, you'll see our 3 newly added delivery/turnaround truck parking spaces right in front of the leasing and amenity area. Level 1 covered parking that connects the main building along with the townhomes. Our level 2 features some more amenity spaces within inside the building and a raised courtyard for residences only. Our typical floor plan building showcasing all of our units. And here's the 5th floor where a majority of the changes took place. If you note from last time, the only kind of building setback we had on the 5th floor was at the top of the page, Plan North along Monona Drive. Here we are setting back to the left of the page and the bottom of the page, which is true north and true west. Both of those setbacks are, I want to say, greater than 10 feet, if my memory recalls correction, which from a grade level standpoint, you would rarely even see it when you're standing up against the building, like on the side of the curb. Here's showcasing a schematic landscape plan that we just recently received, just to show that we are in flux and we are thinking about landscape. We're thinking about landscape buffers, how they meet with the adjacent neighbors and adjacent properties, what happens between garage and landscape, curb, etc. We're also looking at the communication by using landscape via Monona Drive, the curb, the sidewalk. How is that all being used and intertwining with our building? Onto some of our diagrams. We studied open/green space very heavily, showing what was provided before and what is provided now. We are meeting approximately 30%, whereas the current is 19.2%. Right here is the elevational diagram, just showcasing there was a lot of concern about building height and its vicinity. Some of these buildings that we're showing here are in the adjacent vicinity of our area, and just to show that we are not the tallest building, we're sitting somewhere comfortably in the middle. Same thing here. This is the area massing diagram, just kind of pinpointing, just honing in closer as we get in closer to our site, honing the next 3 taller structures next to us. This site context is kind of, we did this along with our shadow studies in comparison. We started looking at the site, and we were started modeling the neighborhood and site and trees and adjacencies, and we got to just to understand a little bit more, because height was a big concern for us. That some of the neighboring trees and existing trees along the neighborhood are roughly around the same height as our building. So as far as a shade point, we will not be providing or kind of damaging any more shade to the existing neighborhood than the existing trees are. Contextual precedents. I wanted to hit on this. We didn't hit this last time. Just some design influences we pulled from the historic house right across the street from us. Some of those design elements include the flat roof design from the Italianate architecture that the Nathan Dean House pulls. Please note, on the front of the Nathan Dean House, you'll start to see columns and a low slope roof port entry defining that entry for them. Minimal trim at glazing. So note the windows, they don't really have a lot of trim work. They're very just kind of simple. But then the heavy soffit at the top, the roof element, gives it this nice clean eyebrow effect, along with additional detailing that around the soffits and edges of the porch and the roof to give it nice architectural details that you really just have to like see in person to be there. Just note all these little small pieces that this house includes. And then on the back house, at some point there was added the covered porch, giving it a glass box effect. Then here are some of our architectural renderings. I'll point out some of the changes and then some of the comparisons between our historical precedence house we're trying to use. Please note, at the top of the main structure, you'll notice that eyebrow effect of the heavy parapet soffit that we're doing. Right below that is that classic glass box effect that we're calling that the back of the porch has. Our brick color changed, and then you can start to see the fins and fenestration of our building. Here you'll start to see those architectural fins pop out a little bit more when you get a sidewalk of approach. The fins are also pointing out with the nice wood tone patterns, and they're just giving like similar to the Nathan Dean House, giving a just small little classic details that we're just implementing ever so tiny. Like you look at every entryway along the brick, you'll notice small brick details that we're changing the brick pattern and just grooves, just to kind of not necessarily change the material like the Nathan Dean House, but just like it just implements different design elements. These two main renderings will feature mostly at the townhomes. You'll notice the townhomes, I don't know if you can quite see on this screen, but maybe in the printed images online, the colors concepts did change from the main building. We're doing a more earthy tones, warmer colors, beiges, greens, along with our brick. We also added the columns and the low sloped roof at all these entries, just so you don't have just a stark flat wall going up. We're giving a more of an entry point, kind of lowering the density feel of these buildings. Same here, same kind of context applies to this. Just the low slope roofs, the columns, the entries, the building colors, just how the user will address and how walking down the street this might possibly feel. Right here is our leasing plaza. Please note that our leasing plaza could be open to the public. It is open. It is not a private area. You'll see the leasing entry, and up above at the second level, you can start to see the courtyard. This is our rendering of our private residential courtyard on the second floor. The main change you'll see here is the brick color. And then we'll end with our material palette. I also have the physical material samples right here on the table if anybody would like to view them. That's it.
Anybody else from the development team or other parts? All right. If not, we can move on to the public comment section. I'm going to read them in the order I got them. If I call you up to speak and you're like, no, I wasn't planning on speaking, that's fine. Just let me know. And if you originally didn't think you were speaking and you want to speak, that's fine to change your mind. So just let me know. The first one I have is Sam McCready, I think. Sam? And Sam wants to register only, not speak, correct? And he wants to register against the project. And next I have Jerry Hartman. Jerry, and registered, no speak tonight. All right. and he wants to register against the project at 4711. And then I have Sherry Irving. Sherry? And Sherry, you indicated that you wanted to register and speak. Come on up. If you can just identify yourself, name and address, and then we got a few minutes to share with us, right?
Thank you.
I'll remind folks, sometimes when we have a stack of individuals that want to speak, it's important that we have an opportunity to hear from everybody, so we want to make sure that you can keep your comments relatively short. I'm not going to set a timer unless I have to, but try to keep it to around 3 minutes. all
Just
right?
give me a wave if I need
Yep,
to.
yep, no, I'm no problem doing that.
So I'm Sherry Irving from 106 Starry Avenue. And forgive me, I am losing my voice. So after seeing the revised plans, many of us were surprised in the neighborhood that the changes were appearing to be relatively minor. The commission's previous concerns centered on height, massing, density, neighborhood compatibility, parking, and circulation. Yet the revisions primarily involved changes to materials, colors, patios, and modest architectural adjustments. This project still does not appear, in my opinion, to be context sensitive. The height, scale, and mass remain dramatically different from the adjacent single-family neighborhood. While the townhomes along Gordon Avenue are a buffering mechanism, they do not substantially reduce the visual impact of a 5-story building immediately behind them. Likewise, changing exterior materials and adding patios may improve the appearance, but they do not improve the transition between the project and the surrounding homes. The site context section of the plans would have been more informative with street-level perspectives taken from further down the street, showing the visual impact of the development as approached from surrounding streetscape, rather than relying solely on aerial views. Smart growth is not simply about building more housing. It is about increasing density while respecting neighborhood context. And we, the majority of my neighbors, are not convinced that this proposal achieves that balance. How does the proposal demonstrate sensitivity to the surrounding neighborhood? The site is near 3 schools in an established residential area. The location presents an opportunity to address the community's identified need for more missing middle housing and housing apartment options to support families and long-term neighborhood stability. And instead, the proposal, in my opinion, prioritizes a high-density market-rate retail apartment development, resulting in a project that appears out of scale with its surroundings. What meaningful specific revisions were made at the request of the Plan Commission, or the direction, regarding height and building mass? What concerns were addressed regarding traffic circulation and parking? What about community gathering and commercial space? If the Commission's concerns are not addressed, what will be the public justification for providing TIF assistance if pursued? If the developer is granted CDD zoning, what assurance does the neighborhood have that the future decisions affecting the project will not change midway in the design? The project also remains almost entirely inward-facing. While the private amenities may serve residents well, the absence of commercial or other public-facing uses raises concerns about how the project contributes to the broader goals for an active, welcoming streetscape along Monona Drive. Ultimately, the responsibility rests with the applicant to demonstrate not only that this project fits the site, but that it enhances this section of Monona. The case has not been made yet. Instead, the proposal appears designed to maximize the site's development potential rather than complement the surrounding area. Also, on a side note, please, I would appreciate hearing feedback regarding emergency access and any comments from the fire department, as well as additional clarification about the stormwater strategy. Thank you.
Next, I have Dave Irving. And Dave, you were registered to speak as well? Yep, come on up.
I'm going to keep my remarks rather brief and kind of off the cuff, mostly because I don't see a lot to discuss this time around. This is largely the same proposal. we seem to be, or we as in the city and the developers and the residents, seem to be kind of circling each other here. We're not, the issues that the neighborhood has with the building are the mass of the building. It's not the colors or whether there are taller trees in the area. It's the sheer size of the building. Approving this at 5 stories would set a new baseline for this entire section of town. We do not have many, up until recently, even 4-story buildings anywhere in this area. That changed with the last Bloom property. It worries me that the next property is going up yet another story. And after hearing from the community, the developers don't seem to be taking that section into account. We don't need to have a building of that size on a lot that small. The density is the equivalent of large cities. None of the parking issues, which I know myself and my neighbors are quite worried about, have been addressed, as in the fact that these parking spots, unless I've missed something, are still not included in the rentals. Therefore, we believe that X number of these 128 apartments are going to just park on the street to save the buck. We already have a lot of parking on our street from the high school and from the first Bloom. We're getting saturated. And I would just like to close by saying I firmly understand Monona's need for more housing, more tax base. But even the project that's been looked at right now, the city in general thinks that the place for this is on Broadway. That's our area where the city of Monona, locked as we are, has some room to grow. This infill lot is not the place to be putting 128 apartments. It's the place to be putting 50 or something on that line. Monona needs the large buildings. We get it. Nobody's trying to say we can't build in this town. But we do have to decide where we're building. And as I say, approving this building in this manner will set an entirely new baseline for the northern section of Monona Drive. It changes the entire nature of the neighborhood. And I think my neighbors and I have all been rather unanimous in saying we don't want a building of that size in this area, period. Thank you.
Next up, I have Patricia Gunlock. And she's just registering. I just read it now, sorry. And then I have Debbie Reynolds, and she'd like to speak unless you're changing your mind.
I'm Debbie Reynolds. I live at 203 Starry Avenue. First, I just want to quickly point out that the diagram that JLA showed comparing the heights of the buildings, it showed this project is in the middle, but all the ones taller are down on Broadway. It's taller than anything else on Monona Drive currently. I'm going to try to read fast. I'd like to start once again noting that we recognize that this is a pre-hearing phase and appreciate the Plan Commission hearing our concerns and not dismissing them. You noted last time that we came in acknowledging that this property needs to be improved, and we hope you see that we just want something that will enhance both Monona Drive and our neighborhood. I think many of us were surprised and disappointed to see that not much had changed from the old proposal to this one. The building is still too tall, still too dense, and still does not blend in or fit with our existing neighborhood. Nearly all the members of the commission pointed this out last time as well, and only 4 units were removed. Even after removing the 4 units, it's still double the density of Fairway Glen, just down the road. It's over double the density of Yahara Place, the old Tresta. It's almost double the first current building, and it's higher density than the full build-out of the River Place project currently going up at the end of Monona Drive. That seems wild, knowing that we are currently only seeing about half of the project at that construction site. There's another entire building that they're about to start working on, and the Bloom 2 would be a higher density than that. Another surprise came when there was no addition of commercial space. Again, I believe all the commission members stated that commercial space is important along this corridor, especially as we continue to add more housing units that will need services and places to eat, etc. I fully expect that the developer will claim that the single 1,300 square foot co-work amenity space could be converted into commercial space, but that one space doesn't do much to support the commercial growth needed after adding almost 2,000 apartments in Monona. I won't take any more time to reiterate my comments from the last meeting, noting all the ways the project doesn't seem to fit our city codes, the urban design guidelines, or the city's comprehensive plan, but I stand by them and see no updates to make it better. The removal of 4 units does not suddenly make it more harmonious or compatible with the existing buildings as required by code in the immediate neighborhood, and it still does not reflect that Monona is and wants to be a small town within a big town. This brings me to many discussions I'm hearing as the city is performing a review of the current city comprehensive plan. I attended the city workshop intended to get community input, and there was a survey made available to residents to send in as well. While some of the multiple choice options felt a little leading and seemed to skew the results, with the lowest height choice in this area listed as 1 to 5 stories, there was also an opportunity to add comments. I read through those comments, and along with many suggestions about making this area more walkable and bike friendly, there were also many comments against high-density apartments and very tall buildings here. Our residents want to keep Monona's small town charm reflected along Monona Drive. It's a recurring comment. Recently, I was turning down Dean Avenue with a friend of mine who grew up with me across Dean Avenue from where I grew up. After driving north, passing the Mira, and as we were about to turn left down Dean past Bloom 1, she said, "I don't even feel like I'm in Monona anymore." If we keep putting up these large buildings along this stretch of Monona Drive, people won't feel like they're in Monona. They won't know that they've entered our quaint city, and they'll just think they're still in Madison. I'm also reminded of the ad hoc comprehensive plan committee meeting I watched, where it was pointed out that most of our recent developments have not been for families, or commercial for that matter. It was said that most have been for the developers, and it's about density, mostly studio and 1-bedroom apartments. When was the last time we added townhomes, duplexes, or row houses? Another person in that meeting mentioned putting row houses on Broadway. What sense would it make to put row houses on Broadway in a 5-story building here, in the middle of 1 to 2-story residential commercial buildings? Wouldn't this location be a much better spot for row houses, maybe even a creative incorporation of row houses with commercial space as well? Do we really need to add over 120 more small units that do nothing to bring more families to our city? I will leave you with a quick thought on parking. I appreciated Mr. Homburg's story last time when we were here on the evolution of the bank parking lot. I grew up down Dean Avenue and remember when Starry went all the way through. Many of us who grew up here kind of think that we always kind of thought it was weird that they added so much parking that was never used, so the story makes sense. That said, the idea that we can't or shouldn't have a connection to Monona Drive, not necessarily a road but a pathway or a zigzaggy driveway, but that we shouldn't or can't have that because of the size and density of the development will make such access detrimental to our neighborhood, it suggests that we're prioritizing the wrong thing. This development should be enhancing our neighborhood. It would be wonderful if whatever project ends up being built here would include all of us and create a space where we are able to live with and get to know our neighbors. We shouldn't be building silo communities that we feel like we have to be protected from.
All right, thank you. Next is Adam Russell. Adam?
Hello, Adam Russell, 4809 Monona. I would like to voice my opposition to this proposal. I came to the first meeting in April mostly to listen. There were many constructive comments and concerns. Here we are 15 weeks later, and we are presented what is fundamentally an unchanged proposal. It ignores all the major concerns previously voiced by both the public as well as this commission, namely density, building height, parking, and first floor commercial space. The only thing that was consistently praised about the initial proposal was that it was a good-looking building, just in the wrong place. Yet that seems to be the only thing that was significantly changed. The premium red brick facade has been replaced by dull gray siding, making the building look more stark, boring, monolithic, and not inviting. Was the change made for cost reasons? This seems to follow what was done with Bloom 1, where the initial proposal called for a very nice-looking red brick building, and only later did it morph into the bland white and honeysuckle Lego brick that it is today. The agenda for today's meeting highlights a 2024 Sun Prairie study finding no negative effects of multifamily developments on community property values. However, that study specifically states that their conclusion is only valid when developments are appropriately designed, and that, I quote, "Poorly designed developments can have a negative impact on property values and neighborhood perception. This emphasizes the importance of good planning and design," end quote. I couldn't agree more. This development is not appropriately designed. It remains too large and too close to single-family homes and lacks commercial space. You can't claim in good faith that the home in the corner cut out of this project will not be negatively impacted. You can't claim that the home to the north of the site that will be constantly shaded for 6 months of the year will be unaffected. A 5-story building directly bordering single-family homes is not a thoughtful, gentle transition from low to high density areas. Despite the very small 4% decrease in density, the development still is the second densest development in Monona and the densest ever proposed abutting single-family homes. As noted in the agendas table, the only development in Monona that is denser is Monona Pines, now the Mira, which is bordered by purely commercial structures, an empty lot, the golf course, and existing low-rise multifamily housing. The closest single-family home appears to sit approximately 280 feet from the site, making it entirely improper as a comparison, as that project blended density more gradually. What is being requested here is therefore without precedent in Monona. On a per capita basis, Monona exceeds Madison in housing stock growth. Monona has and will continue to address housing shortages in Dane County. We don't need to squeeze every single possible unit out of these lots that aren't overly large to begin with. As neighbors, we look at this project right now as nothing but negatives. No one in the neighborhood cares about the fitness room or the courtyard. We can't use those spaces. Commercial opportunities are the only potential that we have to look forward to this project, be it a fun new restaurant, retail store, or something else that actually allows for engagement with the wider neighborhood. This produces the only opportunity as a place for new residents to actually mingle with the existing neighborhood. Otherwise, you are left with a de facto gated community that fractures and bifurcates the neighborhood rather than one that provides a distinct sense of place. The massive underground parking structure footprint will significantly disrupt the local water table, potentially increasing flooding risk for the whole neighborhood, with acute risk for those directly adjacent to the site. There are 4 homes at 4805 Monona, 4804 Gordon, 4704 Gordon, and 106 Starry, whose foundations appear to be within 20 feet of the garage foundations on the north, south, and west ends of the site. How will this risk be properly mitigated? The proposal lists no steps. The area wells on the south end of the site also appear to cross the 10-foot minimum setback boundaries noted on the drawing. With such a large underground structure covering, by my calculations, roughly 85% of the site, what hydrological studies can be done to comfort nearby residents? And of course, all these development plans and any assurances that go along with them aren't worth anything if the developer is unable or unwilling to adhere to them. As I'm sure this commission remembers, the developer deviated from the Bloom 1 PIP twice without prior authorization and was not held accountable either time, creating a dangerous precedent that risks repeating itself. Whether it was due to incompetence or willful deceit is trivial to the point. The end result is the same. What steps will this commission take to ensure proper oversight of this project? I am not against development at this lot. The existing abandoned structure is a complete eyesore, with torn awnings dangling off the building, weeds growing everywhere, piles of brush, no trespassing signs, and concrete K-rails barricading the parking lot. I already live directly adjacent to a mixed-use multi-family building at 4811 to 4813 Monona, and I have no problems with it because a 2-story building with 6 units is an example of a completely appropriately sized structure to be placed next to single-family homes. I welcome a reasonably sized development here, but this proposal as is remains completely unacceptable to me. Any development here will change the area for decades to come, so it's worth it to take the time to get it right. I'm aware that the public doesn't get any direct say in this, so I implore this commission to be our voice and demand the changes that you yourselves agreed with in the first meeting. I look forward to returning in the future to speak in favor of a reasonably updated proposal. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Next, I have Mary Ann. Is it Thurber?
It is.
All right.
Pull it up, sorry.
All right.
My name is Mary Ann Thurber. I'm a resident and homeowner in Monona. I'm concerned about the impact large rental properties have on quality of life for neighbors immediately impacted by the population influx and the strain on city services. In the residential rental property industry, a healthy vacancy rate is between 5 and 8%. This allows for normal tenant turnover, cleaning, and regular maintenance without substantial disruption to cash flow. According to the Bloom One website, the vacancy rate is 44.9%. In an attempt to attract tenants, the business is offering free parking, 1 to 2 months free rent depending on the size of the apartment you rent, and no rate increase with renewal. This is not a ringing endorsement or speak to the need for the proposed Bloom 2 building. Just a second, I can't. Bloom 2 is a proposed 5-story structure. The lot is 38% smaller than Bloom 1 with 28% more units. The physical plant will immediately abut small single-unit dwellings and immediately stress Monona Drive with the sole egress point fronting Monona Drive. If the issue is rental properties in Monona, according to websites today, there are rental properties available at 4607 Monona Drive, Bloom, 800 West Broadway, Current, 5001 Monona Drive, Fairway Glen, 706 Pirate Island, 204 St. Teresa Terrace, Cardinal Place, 4033 Monona Drive, Lake Edge, 3819 Monona Drive, Lakeview, 320 West Broadway, Yahara Terrace, 1216 East Broadway, Broadway Lofts and Townhouses, 5424 to 5430 Monona Drive, the Colonial Apartments, 101 Fimwright Drive, Executive East, 5103 Monona Drive, Mira, which has a 22% vacancy rate, 200 to 205 Valerie Lane, Monona Village Apartments, and 201 Tompkins, Glendale Gardens. That's just in Monona. In addition to these existing vacancies, Monona is looking at the 12.5 acre development on the WPS site on Broadway, currently named the Green Line. The city is entertaining 4 6-story buildings with 669 apartments. I would prefer to see existing city monies be funneled into improvements for protective services or managing existing debt, rather than overextending itself and coming back to property owners for ever increased monies. Just in response to the gentleman who spoke tonight on behalf of the proposal, the architecture is not classic, it is utilitarian, and columns and low slope roofs do not conceal the fact that this is an out of scale intrusion, and nobody cares about your interior amenities. Regarding the similar size buildings, you own Bloom 1. No one beefs about the size of the high school, and Mira backs up to the multi-unit housing, so their presence is not as jolting or disruptive. As it stands, the proposal at hand, sorry, my notes are all over the place. The proposal at hand is as invasive as it is excessive. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Tom Connors. And Tom is registered against the project at 4711. And then I have Erica Madsen. Eric, sorry. And wish to speak or register? Do you wish to speak? Yeah. Yep, come on up.
Yes, my name is Eric Madsen, 200 Starry Avenue. A little phone here. Yeah, I think the biggest surprise that I had, I think a lot of others have mirrored as well, is taking a look at the new plans and seeing that all the good points everybody made at the previous meeting, really none of those revisions other than a little design changes and color changes, a few less units is about all it was basically proposed with this new proposal. I just kind of wonder what happened over the talk about. Everybody's already talked about the monstrosity of having a 5-story building. I keep looking at that artist rendering that's from my front yard that has cattails growing, and I'm not sure where they came from. But anyway, I look at the building and I just can't imagine getting up and looking at that building. I'll feel like I'm in downtown Monona or downtown Madison with that huge structure right across the street from me. I also, I still have the same concern. I'm sure all the stuff is like way down the road, but I have the concern that I mirrored at the initial meeting about, obviously there's this huge construction project. I don't know if it's the right time to talk about construction materials, equipment and trucks, and all the stuff that goes along with the construction of such a huge project such as this. But I just have to say, where would the entrances be for all the construction material? Would that be, at Starry and Gordon, that intersection there? Would it be coming in off of Monona Drive? I have no idea how that's going to be handled. I'd like some idea of the duration of this entire construction project, should it go through. And basically, I have the concerns of all the other residents in the area, is the huge concern of parking, congestion, and whatever's going to happen in terms of this. Again, it doesn't belong in our neighborhood at that site. I think the comparison to the Nathaniel Dean House is, other than maybe the colors, is invalid. I don't think it looks at all like that. It's quite a monstrosity. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Next is Cheryl. And Cheryl, you wish to speak as well? Come on up.
I don't have a lot of notes either,
All right.
but I think everyone that has spoken before, I'm Cheryl Kahns, 204 Starry Avenue, about 2 houses down from where the driveway goes into the park, the bank parking lot for right now. But everybody that's spoken before me has said everything that we said before. My question is, or what I'd like to start with, I wrote a letter last time, and one of the questions it was a written letter that you all received. Have you actually driven down that street real closely and looked at where this development will be? Noticing one of the members here, their house is right on the parking lot. And the houses are right on either side of the parking lot, would be like almost looking from the end of this table, there would be the next building. There would be the whole development. Now, since this happened, I started driving around noticing big developments in Madison and everywhere, and wherever you see big developments, you never see houses as close as this is. Never. When Bloom 1 was done, that was all Monona Drive, and there were businesses on both sides of it. Now, across the street, yes, Gordon people were affected. Have you ever driven down Gordon when the school kids were in session? They parking in the morning, parking in the evening, and now it has started to move over to our side of the street, where some are parking on Starry and on Gordon on our side of Dean Avenue. Already, the other thing I've noticed, look down on the other side, they just finally opened Teresa Avenue, where Mira is at. I loved when I saw that on Teresa, they've got a section that says 2-hour parking, and it's limited to who can park on that side of the street. Because I've wondered with both this development and even with Mira, people are not going to always want to go into their parking space if they have to stop at home. they may want to just stop and do something quick and run in. So what I'm noticing is all the cars that line up there on Teresa, and those of us coming out, we have to go out Gordon to turn Teresa to get out to Monona Drive. There's a lot of congestion just being able to see past them, and we can get over that. But on this section, there's not any room to put parking that is not going to already affect those of us that are residents. On that Teresa Street where Mira is, there are no residents of homes right there. I just hope that you actually go driving down there at different times of the day to notice how it affects everything. Already, Sherry and Dave, who live right, their house is the one that's right on the property, they've had to move where they park their cars because the owner of the property wouldn't let them park in that parking lot anymore. So now they're parked in front of, it's kind of around the corner, but it's sometimes a little bit in front of our house, but it's also in front of Eric's house, right there on the corner of Gordon and Starry. So the other question I do have, really asking you to please really carefully listen. There's nobody in favor of it. Any of us that live in that area are not in favor of it. And all around the city of Madison, you do not see homes as close as this is. Then if you were watching when the construction happens, Teresa Avenue was closed, and all those trucks and everything had a place to go. Where would they park on Gordon? They're going to have to block off a street, which is going to keep the rest of us are going to have to detour, or not even the people that live on Gordon. I don't know if they'll even be able to park on in front of their house. There's just no place to go. Also, those of us that live there, we used to know, we weren't supposed to, but we would go through from Starry, through the bank parking lot to get up to Monona Drive and turn right or left. This development has only that one spot open for the residents. They have to enter and leave in that one driveway. And that, it's going to be congested. Monona Drive is busy. So I guess I have the question of why was this, I'd like to know the procedure. I don't know if you can answer it now. Do you guys look for somebody to do this stuff, or they approach you and they say, we want to do this, and then then we start all the hearings, right?
I'll let you finish your comment, and then I can answer that simple question.
Okay.
And then we'll go from there. How does
Okay.
that sound?
So we're just wondering how that comes about, because my understanding has been there's a better tax benefit for the city if we had a business or businesses, rather than the tax benefit of people that are in apartments. I'd like to know if that's true or not. I think I've pretty well covered what's there, but I'm wondering why apartments and not another business, but I guess that's not for you to decide who approaches you and says this is what we want to do or what we don't want to do. And then also, 2 of you are aldermen, is that right?
Correct.
Okay, so the rest are volunteers? that
Well,
just-
we're all volunteers.
Well, you're all done. Yeah, but they don't get to vote. Well, the commission votes,
Yeah.
but you guys are on the meeting that makes the official decision, right?
This commission will make a decision, which then will move on to a city council, which then has additional voting power.
Right. Thank you, and I just hope you're really listening and taking to heart the desire to want to make Monona better. And thank you for giving us the time.
Thank you. Thank you. And to answer the simple question, most projects that are coming forward to this group are developers or other individuals that are bringing a project forward. There are ways in which the city might elicit different things. So, for example, there are times that the city has purchased property. The current 2, that was a property that was city-owned, and then there was an RFP to attract some developers with some proposals. But the vast majority are other individuals coming up with an idea and then bringing it here. Oftentimes it comes from this kind of structure where they come, they present something, they get feedback, they revise it. So that's a pretty common approach.
And again, like I just said, we're all for development, but some big things need to be looked at here. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Next, I have Jeff Scully. All right. It should be good
Okay.
to go right away.
All right.
Yep.
My name's Jeff Skelly. I live on 4805 Monona Drive. I want to reiterate a lot of things that my neighbors have already said, but they're my opinions as well. There's no real meaningful change in height from when the GDP was originally proposed. There's no meaningful change in the density. There's no change in the proposed traffic pattern. They're still discontinuing access to Gordon Drive from Monona Drive. There's no commercial space. Another point that hasn't been brought up, there's no description of the exterior lighting. As someone who's immediately adjacent to this property, I would like to know how they propose to light their space so it doesn't interfere with my space. The proposed development is about 75% studio and one-bedroom apartments. So of all the units, it's basically single family, or not single family, but single person or couples, which I find shocking that's what people that want to move to Monona are. I don't know. Doesn't seem congruent to the current population of Monona, but that's just my opinion. I'm also concerned about the disruption from construction. The Mira development closed the sidewalk and St. Teresa Avenue for a significant period of time, which was not very safe for pedestrians, and I believe, I don't recall, but someone might be able to inform me, but I believe the same thing happened during the Bloom 1, where the sidewalk on Monona Drive was also closed. I think that's the case. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong. But that, I walked along Monona Drive when that patch of sidewalk was not open to the public, and I had to walk in the street for months, which isn't safe, and I would strongly suggest that any development that goes here doesn't close the sidewalk. Last April, the community spoke, and they came out in numbers against the original proposal. What we're seeing today is essentially the same proposal, and we're hearing the same comments from the community that live next to this building. And I think it's pretty cut and clear what the community's opinion is of this. I heard a great idea. Someone brought up the idea of row houses living right next to this building. I would love to see row houses. This is just my personal opinion, but as a neighbor, that would be something I think would fit in that current space. But thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up is Christy Goforth and
Good evening. Thank you for your service. Christy Goforth, Gordon Avenue. Now, I can come at this with a lot of perspectives, and I landed on sharing a unique perspective that I haven't heard shared yet, and that's what it's like to live adjacent to the current Bloom project. And I want to apologize to my neighbors to the south and behind me, because this is going to sound like a lot of doom and gloom, but I do want you to be informed and aware of how this will change your neighborhood, as well as the decision makers here. 24 months of construction was disruptive and stressful for all of us. Construction took place 6 days a week and on holidays. The beeping of trucks would begin at 6:30 a.m. every single day. Construction would begin at 7 a.m., but trucks would start moving around at 6:30. All the construction workers would also start arriving at 6:30. The noise from the construction made working from home very challenging. Our neighborhood fell apart. We were a close-knit neighborhood when this started. 3 of the 8 homeowners who are directly to the west of the building across the street, all of the homeowners with young children in the school district sold and moved out of Monona. Our homes have been devalued by this project, and they take longer to sell. The physical street was destroyed by all of the construction vehicles. The number of construction workers needing to park and moving through our neighborhood was intense. The street had been repaved a few years earlier, but that needed to be redone. That was just redone a couple months ago. There have been an increased number of crashes that have taken place at the corner of Gordon and Springhaven since construction began. I've lived on this street for the past 12 years, and I don't recall ever having seen a crash at this corner before that construction. The 8 single-family homes across the street from the building no longer see the sunrise or receive morning sunlight. At sunset, the glare of the bright white vinyl siding is blinding. Now, this, I have, the one bonus is I've become friends with a lot of the tenants there. They're people my age, and a lot of them are newly divorced and they're starting over. So my statistics on the vacancy and occupancy rates comes from them. It is different than what someone shared here. They shared with me that there are 26 units rented. Let's see. I'll note that we as neighbors do feel fortunate that only 26% is rented because the traffic increases have been somewhat low due to the low tenancy. 3 of those units will be vacated, 1 in the next month and then 2 in December. I'll share some direct quotes from the tenants. These are not luxury apartments. They say luxury on the sign, but they're cheaply built. We can hear everything through the walls. The irony of having all of us living in one high-density building and the isolation is very interesting. People can easily go days living there without seeing another individual, and isolation is a serious societal challenge for us right now. Parking is an additional $150 a month for underground and $50 in the lot. The headlights are directly shining into my neighbor's windows. I know you've heard their complaints. Delivery trucks, landscaping companies, moving trucks, HVAC repair trucks have increased significantly. They're loud, they're smelly, and they have the backup beeping that erodes our quality of life. The increased use of salt in winter has already pitted the new sidewalk, which is another wonderful bonus we did receive, but it's already being eroded due to the heavy use of salt. The tenants are mostly transitional. There are a few elderly residents in the complex that plan to stay for the long term, but the majority tenants are single tenants. They are mostly from out of state, sharing that they've moved in until they find better options locally. There's only 1 unit with a child or 2, and they seem to live there part-time. We rarely see those children because it's not safe to play in a parking lot. Some of my questions for the city and thoughts are, what are your strategies to increase middle housing and housing diversity in Monona? That's what we really need. I know it's possible for the city to set some strategies and goals and publicize those so developers are aware and they come and bring those projects forward that are more desirable for us. I'm curious what steps have been taken to work with this developer to build something more creative. We think of Troy Gardens or Bayview Townhomes being so lovely. They add to the community and the neighborhood character. A similar development that would be more fitting for this space. Has the developer explored owner-occupied options? Now, I served on this plan commission when the Bloom conversations first began. The initial developer met with us neighbors, collected input, and put some of our suggestions into place, like the building of a row of townhomes to provide a buffer between the massive building and the single-family homes. That was my suggestion, and I appreciated them implementing it. But then when the Noels took over, all of our suggestions were removed and approved by this body when we thought something else was going to happen. After I left the commission, I sat here in the audience again when Mr. Noel first came to meet the commission and stated that he needed to remove the townhomes because it was not buildable, direct quote. If this new project gets approved with townhomes, I really do want to know why it's buildable in the old BMO location when it was not buildable on our block with much more space. I also would love to hear how the developer has engaged with the neighborhood, seeking input and feedback on the project. We know successful developments begin with seeking input from the potential new neighbors before the drawings even start. Now, many of us here moved here for the small town character of Monona, and there is enormous value in that. Isolation and safety our concerns with this movement of these big buildings. So I urge all of you to fight for the small town character that we are all here fighting for as well. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next up is only here for informational purposes, and that was Martha. Martha? Did you change your mind and want to speak?
I said for information.
Yeah, you're welcome to come up and.
I'm Martha Flory, and I live at 4409 Gordon, so I'm not immediately affected. But I was Deputy Director of Highway Safety for the state, and so I missed the first meeting, and I am really impressed by the community response and by your openness to hear the community response. I think there'll be some really well-researched and polite comments about this project. The first thing I noticed, sort of at the last minute, because I only got this information last week, was it's on Monona Drive. It's where there were small businesses as well as on both sides, and then the Madison on the other with the golf course. What I noticed right away was that there are stoplights at Dean and let's see, I wrote it down. Cold Spring and Nichols, but there's no way to go to a stoplight and get into this property. The entry drive is mid-block, and anybody wanting to go north on Monona Drive is going to have to cross the southbound lanes and stop traffic in order to get into the property. I understand that Monona Drive is a primary north-south arterial. It's county trunk DB, and it's county jurisdiction. And I wonder if they're going to allow a stoplight there. Is that, it seems like poor transportation planning in any way. Another thing for transportation planning is the fact that there are no sidewalks on Gordon Avenue, and there are students during the school year parked completely up, and at the end of the day, the speeds are a little less than legal, or a little more than legal, I should say. And it's a dog walking street. It's a very social street, and I think this will destroy a lot of the character, even as far north as I am from this project. And I just say that it'll affect me maybe a little, but it'll definitely affect the people that are living within this Starry Avenue, a couple blocks. I just can't believe the access is acceptable in any kind of planning vision. The other thing is, this area to me of Monona, I don't know what the vision is for this little nice restaurants, businesses, etc. But there's nothing else like this in the city. Everything else is not walkable. You have to drive into a big parking lot. This, from the high school south, has a lot of businesses. And this, I'm not sure from what I was able to read, whether there's going to be any kind of businesses in here. You've got this big blank face facing the street, and it's just, it destroys the whole nature of this small business area. I don't know if that's part of this, the vision for developing Monona, to sort of ruin this nice little pot of businesses, but it seems like it's a bad idea to make these small non-family dwelling places in the midst of what could have been a planned I don't want to say city center, but a business pod for the city. And I also think the way it's designed, it does not encourage the residents to be part of the city of Monona. And part of the charm of the city of Monona is the ability to meet your neighbors and become part of a neighborhood. And that's not going to happen with this type of residential design. And I think that, I don't know whether Madison has any plans for the golf course in the future, but with this corridor being nothing but housing, it's going to really, if Madison decides to sell or develop the golf course, we're going to have a kind of urban canyon along Monona Drive, which is a major north-south roadway, arterial roadway. Already the ADT in 2014, the AADT ranged from above 14,000 to 19,000 cars per day. And that's way less than what we got now. And part of planning is looking ahead to like a 20-year horizon or a 50-year horizon. And the more traffic you constrain to a smaller area with no way off the main, you're going to have more and more problems, urban problems that the big city people, New York, etc., can tell you about. And I'm sorry I didn't have time to prepare anything, but it seems like pretty much a bad idea in many ways.
Thank you. Next up, I have a letter that was sent in. Well, first off, before I get to that, is there anybody that I didn't call your name that you thought you filled out a piece of paper or you wish to fill out a piece of paper? Now would be the time. All right. I do have one written item, and I'll read this in. I'm going to summarize this email. This is from Candace Verberg, and she was indicating that she just received some neighborhood notice from about Bloom 2, about the meeting that was tonight. Her concerns noted that the proposal is to add 136 units. I'm reading it as it's written. That look at this proposal to add 136 units to a 1.65 acre area, and the Bloom 1 had 98 units on 2.66 area. The impact on kids, bike, and pedestrian-friendly neighborhood would be a bad idea. Who in the right mind would consider this? And remember that the taxpayers are putting their trust in the government to make these good decisions for their neighborhoods. There's concerns regarding population and traffic density in the neighborhood with people that are already living there, and that there is a burden on the neighborhood from the Monona Grove High School students parking and the overflow from parking such as at San Damiano, and that there is burden from the Bloom 1 that brings to the immediate area, and that she points out that that is dangerous in the neighborhood. Her comment or suggestion is that a parking lot or a parking garage be built by the high school, and that the school district has the land right there to take care of that, and that would take care of the burden of the existing parking problems off the residents in this nearby pedestrian and bike-friendly neighborhood, and make these streets much safer. And I will pass out the full details, and if there is anybody else to speak, now would be the time. If not, we will close the public hearing section and move on to 6B, which is the pre-hearing conference, and this is on the request by Noel Development, represented by JLA Architects, for consideration of a general developmental plan for the site at, this is for them, for the site at 4711 Monona Drive, and this is for a multifamily development, case number 24-2026. And let's see, yep, if we could pass those out. And then, Henry, if you could go through the staff report in an overview process, and then we can go through commission members.
Absolutely. So a lot has obviously been said already, but this is a multifamily development containing apartments and townhomes at 4711 Monona Drive. The project will include demolition of former BMO Bank on site and construction of a 5-story apartment building with 3-story townhomes along Gordon Ave. This will be 128 total units, 51 studios, 46 one-bedrooms, 18 two-bedrooms, 5 three-bedrooms, and 8 townhome units with 186 total on-site vehicle parking stalls provided, including on the ground floor of the building will be 40, with an underground parking garage 138 stalls, and within one-car garages for each townhome unit being 8 stalls. Additionally, a total of 116 in-building bicycle parking stalls will be proposed. Amenities include ground floor co-working amenity space, elevated courtyard, fitness center, and rooftop club and sky deck. The site comprises 1.65 acres. This was presented at a pre-hearing meeting before the commission on April 13th, 2026. Since that time, applicant has revised the submittal based on comments received, and these changes include reduction of the overall units, building stepbacks on the 5th floor, masonry color changes, townhome material and color changes, townhome unit patios, surface parking stalls within the central area of the site near the leasing office have been redesigned for delivery truck parking, a slight reduction in total on-site vehicle parking spaces. Additional details have been provided, including interior wall, stairway, and door locations, as well as other details. Additional supporting materials include open green space, shadow studies, tree height, building height studies, and the applicant seeks Plan Commission feedback on the GDP with the plan to refine and update for future consideration in the coming months. There is a summary of comments made during the first public hearing in the staff report. There is also comments summarized from the Plan Commission during that meeting in the staff report. Applicable regulation. This is within the Community Design District, or CDD. And this district would allow the applicant to pursue a planned community development, or PCD, and this would be split into 2 phases: a general development plan, GDP, and then a precise implementation plan, PIP. The Plan Commission reviews things in this district. This property is also located within the redevelopment area and tax increment district number 10. The applicant may request TIF assistance if needed, and will also need the community development approval for approvals within this district. No formal action will be needed at this pre-hearing conference, but the Plan Commission should discuss a number of things, including potential inclusion of commercial space on the ground floor, potentially using a 20-foot setback for street parking and to make commercial space more viable, potentially reducing the 20-foot front setback to increase and create a greater street orientation, additional pedestrian connections, traffic circulation improvements, approach to the use of tandem parking stalls, which 32 are included in this plan, the changes to the townhome elevations, facade changes, changes to the building density, and looking at the shadow studies and building comparison. Notices were mailed to property owners within 200 feet of this property and posted in the newspaper before this meeting. And the intention by the applicant is to construct the project in 1 phase and to move through permitting this year. The 2016 comprehensive plan classifies this property as commercial use in the current and future land use maps, and a variety of similar projects along Monona and Broadway have been approved that are also designated as commercial use, and those are listed in the staff reports. Noel Development recently completed also the Bloom mixed-use development 1 block away. The opportunity for ground floor commercial was discussed and desired by the Plan Commission during the previous meeting for this development. However, no commercial space has been added to the proposal. Potential ways to address that are included. And then possible rezoning to community design district would further the flexibility to accommodate commercial uses. Yes. And then a number of other things. Okay. Yeah. There's a lot in here.
Don't feel like you need to read all the
Yes.
detail. Everybody has read that, so if you can just hit highlights and sections, I think is fine.
Okay. Well, there are, the staff report describes site design, including lot coverage, setbacks. There's tables in here, standards for parking, a parking summary, architecture and massing summary, and comparisons to other nearby developments, green infrastructure, certified survey map, stormwater, lighting and landscaping, and the plans were shared with staff heads for review and comment. I don't know if I should read those. Okay. That's it.
All right. Anybody want to start?
I can start.
All right, go for it.
Are all of the comments from the public going to be recorded in detail in our minutes?
They'll be in
For-
the minutes, correct.
Okay. That'll all go back to the developer?
The recording's available for the developer, because I know it's a little bit hard to hear with the fan going, but we'd all be boiling if we didn't have it on. So the recording will have that, and people did a really good job, I saw, speaking into the mic, so hopefully that's clear. If it's not, minutes will also be taken.
Okay. I thought it was excellent from the community, really well researched remarks. Thank you for what you brought to us. I was not here for the first meeting, so I don't have the context of how that discussion had gone, but I would agree as well that it's a pretty significant building for that lot. I don't have any other substantive comments to add that the public hasn't already provided, but I think that it's just the mass of that building is too large for that lot. I agree as well about the concerns around construction and what that's going to do to the community during any time during its construction. Yeah, that's all I have.
Patrick?
Sure.
So not much was changed, and everyone's correct. Not much was changed from the initial meeting last time you came before us. We talked about commercial, but there's no commercial added to this at all. We talked about the height and the scale. We removed 4 units. It's a unique property because it does have houses that border the actual building itself on the same parcel, essentially. It's out of scale with the neighborhood. And is parking included with rental? We talked about that, right?
No, it would not be.
It's not. Okay. So if someone chooses not to purchase parking, they're going to park on the street. And a building of that scale in that area should probably have included parking, in my opinion. That's about what I have right now.
John?
I'll begin by saying I was also not at the first meeting, so I don't have a lot of the context as well. I think there were a lot of well-educated comments this evening. I would ask that each of you, if you feel as passionately as you spoke, I would become very knowledgeable on the new comprehensive plan that's being developed, because I think the new comprehensive plan would endorse this type of project on Monona Drive. I sit on that committee, and the last presentation that was made called for quite some noticeable heights on both Broadway more significant, as they probably should be, but also on Monona Drive. I assume that you've done a market study for this project that tells you the kind of mix that goes into the project, the number of units, the shortness of housing that we have.
Yeah, we reference market studies when we put
I do have a few positive things to say about the development. I think since I've been on the Plan Commission, I think this is the first housing project that I've seen that met the parking requirements and also met the green space requirements. So I commend you on that. I also think it's one of the first projects that has a decent number of 3-bedroom apartments, which are often asked for by communities, whether it's Madison or Monona, but very rarely put into the project. And those typically promote families, or the opportunities for families to live in a building like this versus just all the 1-bedrooms and studios, which typically don't support families. So I think that's a positive thing, and that's a risky thing for a developer to do. I have some comments on the site plan, and then I have some architectural comments. I would make a note that on your site plans it says 30% open space. I would ask you to add the word green because it's just not open space.
Last meeting, I asked for a definition of open space.
Yeah.
I just have to interject. I apologize. At the last meeting, we did ask for clarification on open space versus green space. We didn't get one. Everything in the city ordinances uses them the same.
Okay.
And vice versa. So
we should get
maybe as
clarification.
part of the comprehensive plan update, that would be awesome.
Well, I
It would
think
help the rest of us do our jobs and meet what you guys are expecting. But,
Okay, we
yeah.
should get clarification
Yeah.
on that.
that'd be great.
Thank you. I hear about the parking concerns, and while the residents have enough parking, I have concerns about people visiting the property. Where are they going to park? Because parents, siblings, friends will come visit this 128 units, and where are those folks going to park? I think and I also have concerns with deliveries, just getting in and out. Buildings like this, even buildings, even in our neighborhoods, how many Amazon trucks do we see a day? And so just those vehicles getting in and out in a safe way, I think is important. There's 3 spaces that are called delivery. I think you could add another 3 on the other side of that sidewalk. I think you could shrinken up the sidewalk and still meet your 30%. I think we need to know the location of the utility boxes. I think on Bloom, we kind of lost that knowledge during our meetings and now feel that there's sort of a utility graveyard on the south side of the property that I'm sure you've all seen. We don't want that to happen again. I think we need to think about how garbage trucks are getting in and out, because it looks like the trash is going to come up the ramp that's closest to Monona Drive, and just the nuances of trucks coming in and out of our only entry point for all these residents. I'm trying to understand the benefit. I do appreciate that you have the townhomes, or I think that does help with the scale as the building goes to the west. I'm trying to understand why it's attached to the other building. I think it might be more successful architecturally if it wasn't attached. I'm trying to understand the benefit. It's not to get to the parking, because they have their own parking. It might be to get to that roof terrace, but only half the units can get to it from their unit. So, and you would get more natural light potentially, and just a break between the buildings. And right now, that wall that is between the two is called a firewall on one of the drawings. Are we allowed to have all the openings in the taller section above as part of the firewall? Just want to make sure. I didn't see a package room inside, and I know you haven't detailed the building yet, but that's probably one of the biggest rooms that just keeps expanding in projects like this because of all the deliveries. And then the trash room is located at one end of the building. I would not want to live on the other. Well, I wouldn't want to live next to the trash, but I wouldn't want to live. It's so far. It seems like it's so inconvenient for a lot of the residents. So that's my site plan comments on the architecture. The sky roof, or sky deck, which I think is a nice amenity, by the way, because you could have put another unit there, but I think that open element is kind of a nice feature for the building. There is a ceiling to that outside structure that's hard to define what that is? Is it wood? Is it yet to be determined, or?
Materials yet to be determined, but we're
Okay.
thinking some kind of open louver structure.
Okay.
To provide shade mostly.
Okay. There's a textured cream panel listed with these like diagonal elements.
Texture panel.
Okay. I think it, again, this is just a suggestion, but I think it'd be more successful if that panel did not go to the south over the main element, that it just came straight down and just go to a different material. I was very confused by the references to the Dean House. I didn't understand what that was about. There doesn't appear to be an elevator overrun on the west elevation shown. And then the window pattern at the elevator lobby seems a little unique, I'll say. Maybe you want that. I would suggest adding windows to the south elevation of the parking at the courtyard entry. There's like just a blank wall. I think just a few windows will allow some natural light into the parking. What is the round element on the elevated raised courtyard? What is that? Is that a fountain? Is it a, do you know yet, or?
It's just representational
Okay,
for a planter.
Okay.
Or, that has to be developed yet.
and then my last comment is there was some reference in the meeting minutes from the last meeting about dislike of the reddish brick color, I'll say, or terracotta color, and we've gone to this, what appears to me not a better color. Just gonna say that, I don't know. That's completely subjective. Thank you.
Susan?
Well, I'd also like to thank the community members who came out and spoke, I think both last time and this time. Very thoughtful comments. You obviously did your research and gave it a lot of thought, and I appreciate that. And I do appreciate the changes that were made, although I have the same response with color. I kind of like the last color because it had more punch and stuff like that. But I thought possibly you were going to softer shades to make it run more, which I get that too. Let's see. Yeah, I think the design elements, I mean, the stepping back, all of that is better. But I guess to me, it still doesn't feel like enough of a change. I mean, I have here reducing 5 units from 120 to 130. It was 133 down to 120. I don't really feel like that's enough. I would like to see some commercial. I know one of the comments in the staff report was if you made that lower floor a little taller, even if some of it was residential to begin with, it would be an option to make it commercial at a later date. If you did that, you might have to take up a floor though, and get worried about the height. Because I still am concerned about the height. I know it's only 6 feet taller than the bloom, but I think the bloom is tall also, and I have not followed the current comprehensive plan, but my own feeling, kind of as we said last time, very nice looking building. This is a nice looking building for Broadway or someplace else. It just still feels like too much to me here. And I appreciated your comments with the utility boxes, because I was walking by there a month or so ago and I thought, what is this? I mean, they're really unattractive. And so that's just another thing to think about, where those are going to be and where they way to cover those or screen them somewhat. Let's see. I do like that you have this sidewalk along the townhouses on Gordon Avenue. I've always also wished we could see more developments with more townhouses and fewer just big apartment buildings. I know the cost issue is part of that. But there was a comment again too that if that could go further to the north at that sidewalk, because there is a sidewalk on Monona Drive, but just to have that be a useful sidewalk for people. And possibly even on the north side going around the corner. Let's see. You know, the idea of the one entrance off of Monona Drive was to keep it off of Gordon Avenue. That was part of it. But I do appreciate the comments of getting out of there and turning left will be tough. I would guess most people might turn right and cut around the block or go, you know, come out at a light. I think that is a concern with that many vehicles. Although again, I think what we find with apartments is people aren't coming and going at all the same time. The other disappointing thing to me was we asked last time about the parking being included in the rent. We're told it wasn't, and we all expressed disappointment with that. And yet we're hearing again that it won't be included. I assume not all residents will have cars, but maybe a better way to do it would be to have it included in the rent, and then if you don't, well, I don't know if that'd be a way to do it or not. It is a challenge, but $150 extra per month is a lot for already pretty pricey apartments for the underground parking, and I think there is going to be a problem with people parking on the street. And then again, when you have visitors in addition, that just exacerbates that situation. I don't know how common that is these days to include the lot with the apartment, but I thought we made it fairly clear that there had to be parking provided, and charging extra for it doesn't seem like that fills the bill to me. Let's see. Yeah, I think, I guess that's, everything else has really been said. I also felt like the colors were kind of a step down, but I probably could live with them. At least they're not white. They just look a little blah. Even more of a earth tone than the grayish color might be better. I guess that's all. I'm just still not happy with the overall size.
All right, Chris.
First, for the people that came out tonight to talk, if you've never done this before, it's hard to understand how this process works, but last time we met and we all said what we thought about it, and you all said what you thought about it, then it's up to the developer to go back to the lab and see if they want to make changes, if they don't, what they want to do, and they always have the right to bring it back to us, say, here's what we think, what do you think of this? So if you think there's been people meeting with the developer, I mean, at times the chair might, if they have particular questions, he'll make it, everyone know that he met with them, or he might select one commission member, but we've not met on this since the last time you all were here, and we saw it, well, you published it when, Monday? I think it was published Monday, so when it was published Monday, that was the first time we saw it too. So when you think there's been a lot going on with the commission trying to work this out with the developer, you come back and say, wow, it hasn't changed. Well, I think for a lot of us it was, wow, it hasn't changed. And I'm hearing a lot of that already from people, and I'm one of those people that, you know, I think it's too big. I think it's too much for that site. I think we were virtually unanimous last time that the first floor needed to be commercial. And looking at the first floor that you have now, it wouldn't make much sense for those back apartments, but for the 7 proposed apartments right on Monona Drive, that should be commercial space. And I think the commission was unanimous on that, so we can get some shops, some retail, something on there. I think it's too much for the site. I think it would have been nice to meet with the neighborhood, but instead we do it here. And you know, it's the same result though, as you hear what they say, but it's nice when you can actually talk, right? This is a real sterile setup, right? You do a presentation, they get to talk, we can't talk to them, then we go back, make a presentation, and we get to talk, but while we can interact with the applicant, we can't interact with really the crowd. So it's nice when you can have a meeting where people just sit around like normal people and just talk. And maybe that would be helpful, I don't know. But I think if I'm reading the room right, it's too big. And so I have a lot of other comments. The details don't matter at this point. I will jump on the bandwagon about parking. We have to do something so that when we have these presented and we have a code for parking, that parking is available for residents. We can't sit here and rent every lot out and then push them into the neighborhood. That is unacceptable. We have parking requirements for a reason, so that this site can park people. And when you put up rent on everybody and say, don't pay it, go park on the neighborhood streets, that's against everything we have in our code, to be able to say, well, we'll just shove all that parking out in the neighborhood. It's not appropriate, and I'm not sure exactly how we'll get a vehicle for that, but when we're approving this with parking, it has to be parking for visitors, for people that come. I understand if they don't want to pay for underground, and the market might adjust itself to that, because it doesn't do you any good to have a whole underground parking lot empty, making nothing, but there has to be adequate parking for the neighborhood, or for the residents, and keep them out of the neighborhood. I don't think a lot of these other comments make a difference right now. I do like some of the things you've done. It's a good looking building, it really is. It's just too big for this area, and the one speaker mentioned it. Every building you said you're smaller than is down on Broadway. They're not on Monona Drive. The biggest one on Monona Drive is Bloom 1. So I don't think I should waste a lot more time on details. I think if I've read this right, there's not the votes here to proceed with a project of that size.
All right. Any other feedback? Any questions that you didn't have answered that you're hoping to have answered? Oh, sorry, Mr. Chapman.
I forgot to ask a question. On your site plan, there is like a white line that begins at the southern side of the property, works its way west, then goes north, then goes west. What is that? It's not noted anywhere that I could see. Is it a fence? Is it a
retaining wall?
I see a smile, so it might be.
Henry, can you go back to this deck for us, please?
I didn't see any of the images, like, tell me
It
what
is on the images,
Okay,
and
all right.
everybody's missing, including the landscape architect, so we're.
While he's pulling that up, and she can describe it a little more, I will just point out that from Monona Drive to Gordon Avenue, it is a 10-foot grade drop. So
Yes.
it's quite a bit. A
It's
whole
significant. So what you're seeing here, that is the wall of the underground parking as it emerges out of the ground on that end of the property. So,
Can you go to the first townhome right here?
yes.
First townhome right
It doesn't appear on the building elevations.
Yeah, so, if you want to get up and point here.
I think it's the wall that walls in Cherry Green. Yeah. It's what 10 feet from the property line. Yes. Right there. Oh, go ahead.
Forgot.
Right there.
Right there.
Okay.
This wall right here. So on the other side of that wall is technically our underground parking at Monona Avenue.
So consider it, whoa, that got loud. Like an exposed basement, but we've clad it with the brick veneer. The townhome parking, because of and what's not represented here, because we didn't want to put the work into it until we knew we were moving forward, or differently, or however, is the townhome garages, because of the grades at Gordon. Those garage floor levels are going to be different than the lower level parking garage. So there's a little bit of, at that firewall would be where we would make that shift. But, so there was a comment in the staff report, a couple of them, and we can talk more about it if needed, but that is, the purpose there. What's not shown in the rendering is the railing, that it will be required by code because it's more than 30 inches drop. But our landscape plan is showing landscaping along the edge of that driveway there, which it's on top of a podium, is what we call that parking deck. We can do shallow plantings, just not large trees unless they're in planters. So.
Thank you. Yeah. The only other comment I would make is if I was this team, because they put a lot of effort into this thus far, I would want a little more direction other than it's too big. A block away, we have precedent for a building of this height minus 1 story, correct? So are they allowed to come back with a building that's precedent has been set a block away for a building of that height? I would want to know that answer if I was the developer, or some direction, other than it's too big.
Well, if this was converted to CDD, it's up to this commission to help determine what is appropriate. And so precedent set does not necessarily guarantee someone's right to be able to develop that same thing. So the short answer would be no. Just because something was built a block away doesn't mean that they have the ability to build it here. This commission and then city council would determine that underneath the CDD zoning.
One of the interesting things about Monona that some people in the room might not know, you might all know this, but I'm going to say it, is that it's challenging. If I do a project like this in the city of Madison, it tells me the height that I can build to, design to, okay? Monona doesn't do that. We have this gray area, which sometimes can be very good, and sometimes can be very challenging. We use this word contextual, okay? Is this project contextual? Well, not to the buildings to the west, but it might be to the building to the south. We have a 7-story building going up in Monona right now that I think is anti-contextual and voted against it, but it's being built. So I think it's challenging as a developer and a design team to know the parameters by which they can design to. Does that make sense? I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying it's different, and it sometimes can be very challenging. The Bloom got built somehow, right? Some people might say that that's anti-contextual. But comparing this to that, it's pretty close. Does that make sense?
Chris?
Couple of things I should have mentioned before, and I mentioned this last time the neighborhood came out. This area was rezoned, actually before I was even on the commission, back in '84, I think, to ask for this area to be some type of commercial development. So, you know, to come in and expect that it can't be anything, I mentioned this last time, the city's anticipation is there's some commercial project, of commercial, residential combination of some sort will be built here. And it would be...
The library will close in 15 minutes.
Good to know.
Please bring your items to the self-check machines for checkout. Thank you.
And it will be substantially bigger probably than what's there right now. Now, for me, the difference with this and the first Bloom is it did have commercial north and south. It abutted right against it. Here, it's across the street. I'm sorry, yeah. Here the residential's right north and south and the other way. So it's a little bit different in this neighborhood. So I'd certainly be concerned with going even bigger, doing something like that. But I do want to caution the neighborhood. The developer has the right to come through, and whether they come back with something or not, we don't know. And one comment I did want to make, because it was in the staff report, is I like the 20 feet off Monona Drive, because unlike a lot of buildings, it gives room to do some landscaping and make this look like something, and a real tree can grow in that kind of space. When you pull it right up tight, it's hard to have anything there that won't brush up against the building. So I like that. There's a lot of things about what's been presented I like, other than the density.
Any other comments?
Yeah, if I were to be specific about the massing, it's the impacts, especially to the homes north of the building.
North or west?
North of the building.
North.
Yeah, north of the building. In terms of the shadows, they're the most impacted. So like in terms of like there being a material impact of the mass of the building, the shadow being cast to the north of the building, I think is the most consequential.
Patrick?
So I was going to say, so like pulling that back, finding ways that minimizing the mass to the north end of the building.
I would just reiterate the importance of having commercial units there. I think it's important for the neighborhood. It's important to activate the street. I think that we talked about that in comprehensive planning too, and I would like to see some commercial incorporated in the project.
Any other comments? All right. We will close 6B and we will move on to 7A, and this is on public hearing for the request by Monona Chamber of Commerce Incorporated, represented by Noel Development, for approval of a zoning permit for a new office use at 4603 Monona Drive, and this is case number 215-2026. I'll give people a minute don't feel like you need to stay, but you're welcome to stay for the entire meeting. But if you're not going to stay, this would be the good time to exit, and it wouldn't be super disruptive.
Your name tag fell, it's hard to read.
It didn't fall. Yeah, it didn't fall, I got tipped over. All right, we're good to go.
Oh, good.
Go for it.
Matthew Murtos, again with Noel Development. Noel Development is the developer for The Bloom, a mixed-use development on the 4600 block of Monona Drive, which includes 98 apartment units and approximately 7,500 square feet of commercial space. I'm joined tonight on Zoom with Christine Welcher of Monona Eastside Business Alliance, who goes by MESBA, who's looking to open an office for MESBA at Bloom. The office represents a return to physical office space, which MESBA has not had since 2020. During the Bloom entitlement process, it was discussed that the commercial space at Bloom would include some form of business incubator space in response to the small businesses on the block that relocated ahead of the redevelopment. We believe that MESBA, being a small business themselves and their mission to spur economic growth in the community, satisfies this objective. Furthermore, MESBA will have an office set aside within their space that they plan to lease to other small businesses within the community. We're excited to bring MESBA to the building at this prominent location along Monona Drive, and I'll hand it over to Christine if she has any other information to share about the space.
You're up, Christine.
Hi, I don't have any further comment, but if you have any questions for me, I'm here.
Okay. All right. Is there anybody else here to speak during the public hearing section on this item? None in the room. If there's anybody online that is here to speak during the public hearing section for this particular item of the Monona Chamber of Commerce incorporated in their zoning permit, now would be the time to raise your hand or unmute yourself. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing section, move on to item 7B, which is the consideration of action on the request by Monona Chamber of Commerce Incorporated, represented by Noel Development, for approval of a zoning permit for a new office use at 4603 Monona Drive. This is case 2/15/2026. Henry.
Great, thank you. So this was for the Monona Eastside Business Alliance, or MESBA, proposing a new office and incubator space on the first floor of the recently completed Bloom development. This will be used as a small startup business with low-cost office space and host board meetings and networking events at the building. MESBA works with businesses on the east side of Madison, including Monona, and they provide resources, networking opportunities, and support the local business community. The use would occupy 615 square feet of the ground floor of the Bloom mixed-use building and is adjacent to the main apartment entrance on Monona Drive. The office is also adjacent to a proposed coffee shop, which will be considered by the Plan Commission at the same meeting tonight. The parcel is zoned Community Design District, and all zoning permits in this district must receive Plan Commission approval. This was run by the 2010 Monona Drive Urban Design Guidelines while reviewing, and the approval is recommended by staff with the following suggestions of approval.
You don't.
Okay. A public hearing notice was mailed to owners within 200 feet of the property per code requirements. The 2016 comprehensive plan classifies this property as commercial use in the future land use map, and this development complies. During the approval process for the Bloom development, there was discussion of the need for an incubator space on the ground floor of the building, which would support small businesses in the city and activate frontage of the building. The primary tenant would be MESBA, who themselves are a small business, and they would and they state that one office space in the building will be rented on a rotating basis for other startups seeking low-cost office space in Monona. Adjacent uses include retail and commercial to the north, south, and east, with single-family to the west. Site design and circulation, no modifications are proposed. Parking plans state that per the 615 square feet, it would necessitate 13 stalls, and 19 stalls would be provided as part of the plan. Yes, the proposed hours align with the BMO Bank and complement the adjacent coffee shop that will have later hours and weekend options. Staff suggests discussing visitor parking plans for board meetings and networking events that will use the Bloom's Clubroom. It is suggested that marketing materials include parking options if an influx of visitors is expected. Deliveries associated are planned to park either along Springhaven and utilize, or the rear surface parking lot and utilize the Mesbit entrance on Monona Drive. Staff believe there is sufficient parking to access and accommodate the new proposal. Hours of operation, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., Monday through Friday. And given the uncertainty of the startup, a suggestion condition of approval has been added that would require compatibility with hours and noise of the primary tenant. No lighting changes are proposed, and one wall sign is proposed that will be worked with staff to approve. Plans were shared with department heads, and no feedback was received.
All right. Instead of going person by person, if anybody has any specific feedback, raise your hand, we'll go that way, and then if anybody has a motion, Chris.
I think it's a great use, but I would mention to staff that it should really be individually lit channel letters. It looks like they're showing a cabinet sign, and a cabinet sign that would not be appropriate.
John?
It says it's illuminated. Is it illuminated? There was mentioned no changes to the lighting, but then the sign is illuminated according to this.
It's a staff
Anybody know?
approval item.
Pardon?
No, the sign is a staff approval item, so it's not part of what we're doing, is why they didn't talk about it.
Oh,
But I
but we
noticed.
included all the sign stuff?
Pardon?
But they included all the sign stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I noticed it looked like the cabinet sign, so you want, and I know Sign Art does some really good work in individually lit
Mhm.
signs too.
The original CSP did require channel letters.
Yeah, I thought so.
So we will
Okay.
be working.
But it's a great tenant. Thanks for
Alright.
bringing them.
Is there a motion?
Move approval of conditions as written by staff.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, thank you. Next item is item 7C, and this is a public hearing on the request by Death Drip Coffee, represented by Noel Development, for approval of the zoning permit. New coffee shop, use at 4601 Monona Drive, case number 216-2026. Love the name. I'll start there. All right, you're up.
So for the final time tonight, I'm Matthew Murtos with Noel Development. Noel Development is the developer for Bloom mixed-use development on the 4600 block of Monona Drive, which includes 98 apartment units and approximately 7,500 square feet of commercial space. Joined tonight by Jake Lindsay of Death Drip Coffee, who is looking to open a coffee shop in the development on the corner of Monona Drive and Springhaven Avenue. We had always imagined this space as a coffee shop or cafe, and excited for Jake to bring his concept to the building and Monona Drive. I'll turn it over to Jake at this time to introduce himself and give some more background about Death Drip Coffee.
Hi, is this on?
Yep.
So I'm Jacob Lindsay. Nice to meet you guys. I am the owner of Death Drip Coffee. Kind of something totally out there, but we're looking to kind of create a moody, kind of more dark, mellow atmosphere than your typical coffee shop. And we're using local roasters, local tea companies, and doing everything organic and ethically sourced. So, yeah,
All right.
excited to serve the community.
Awesome. Anybody else here to speak during the public hearing section? Not seeing anybody in the room. If there's anybody online, this would be the time to unmute yourself or raise your hand. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing section, go on to 7D, and this is consideration of action on the request by Death Drip Coffee, represented by Noel Development, for approval of zoning permit for the new coffee shop, use at 4601 Monona Drive, case 216-2026. Henry.
Yes, so Death Drip Coffee is proposing a new coffee, cafe, and
Timer will
retail.
close in 2 minutes. Please
Well-
bring your items.
Yeah, don't compete, just wait.
Okay.
Checkout items after closing. At this time, we have called patrons to please exit the building. Thank you.
Waiting for announcement, okay. Death Drip Coffee, new coffee cafe and retail space on the first floor of the newly completed Bloom at 4601 Monona Drive. This will be a new business aimed at serving coffee, tea, pastries, and a limited sandwich menu, in addition to a small retail component for coffee machines, accessories, and branded apparel. It would occupy 1,690 square feet of the first floor facing Monona Drive in Spring Haven, and would include a coffee bar for order and pickup, in addition to mixed cafe seating both indoors and outdoors. The parcel is zoned Community Design District, meaning a zoning permit is required for new use and approval by the Plan Commission. This use was run through the 2010 Monona Drive Urban Design Guidelines, and approval is recommended with the following suggested conditions listed in the staff report. A public hearing notice was mailed to property owners within 200 feet of this property per requirements of the code. The 2016 comprehensive plan classifies this property as commercial use in the future land use map plan, and this use complies. The proposed coffee shop creates an additional active ground floor use within the structure, mirroring the southeast corner of the structure where the BMO Harris Bank branch is currently located. Additionally, Mezba is planned to occupy the adjacent space just south of the coffee shop. The space will be accessible via an exterior entrance on Springhaven Ave and an interior door from just inside the Bloom apartment building. Adjacent uses include retail and commercial to the north, south, and east, and single-family to the west. No proposed modifications to the existing site design are proposed. Restaurants, cafes, bars, taverns, and nightclubs for parking shall provide one parking space for each 3 seats. Based on capacity design, and plans do not show a specific seating layout, but do include a seated occupancy load of 78 people. This would require a total of 26 parking spaces to accommodate the square footage. Materials also state that there will be 10 dedicated employee visitor stalls in the surface lot behind the building, and 19 public parking spaces are located along Springhaven Avenue, which may be used by residents, visitors, and commercial patrons. The tenant and owner are requesting that 2 public stalls on Springhaven Avenue be designated 15-minute parking for pickup-only customers for the new coffee shop. Staff suggests that this be specifically reviewed by the Public Works Director, and a suggested condition has been added to this effect. Deliveries associated with the business are planned to park along Springhaven Avenue or in the rear surface parking lot and utilize the main entrance along Monona Drive. Staff believes there is sufficient parking and access to accommodate the proposed new commercial use. Hours of operation will be 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Sunday. It's anticipated that the total number of employees will be between 8 to 10, and there may be upwards of 120 visitors per day. No changes to lighting or landscaping proposed. 2 new wall signs have been proposed, which will be reviewed by staff. Plans were shared with city department heads, and those comments are in the staff report.
All right, much like the last one, if there's specific comments. Patrick?
I'm really glad you're opening this, and it sounds like it's going to be my new favorite coffee shop.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah. So we don't have a place like that in Monona.
Yeah,
So that's pretty
thank you.
awesome. Excited.
Chris?
Just a comment, I know staff report said it would require 26 stalls. I think most of us have experience at coffee shops. It'd be rare to have 26 people driving there all at the same time, or 20 plus staff. So I concur with staff feeling that there's adequate parking there.
Anybody willing to make a motion?
So I also have a comment that's more for the commission, because I think it's an appropriate use. I have no issue with the applicant, but we had earlier businesses where we talked about like duplicate business or use, or like along that corridor, and we do have other coffee spots. This is not the same as anything else, but to John's earlier comment, do we have any like objective basis that we use for that determination, or is that also an entirely subjective like contextual thing that we.
Probably the amount of cars in the other coffee shop parking lot and the lines.
Yeah, and John, correct me if I summarize this incorrectly, but it came to a previous comment that you're suggesting that when there are things that are coming forward and it seems to be a duplicate of many other businesses in a small confined area.
To be specific, the other discussion was around vape shops.
Yep.
There were more vape shops that were trying to get added. So this is a different business. But just, again, this is more for our, I'm asking as a commission question, it's not about you as the applicant.
Yeah.
But if it's an entirely subjective thing, that we make that determination on.
Currently it is, there's nothing in our ordinance or in any of the plans that would classify how many of which business there is.
Yeah.
I could only mention that the vape shop and smoke shops in general, there was a moratorium that was put in place for a period of time slightly after that last applicant, and that was to look at at location-specific aspects to it. But the point that John brought up, I don't think ever got clearly addressed in the sense of, I think you mentioned the number of spas or salons.
Oh, no, I was talking about John's comments earlier tonight, when he was saying like that we don't specify the height of a building.
Oh.
So I was just saying to say that was another thing that we're not objective about, but subjective about, and I was just trying to.
There was a previous comment, that's why I was referencing the.
Yeah.
As long as it's not a pizza place.
Yeah, I'm making my point. But
Yes.
I think this is a reasonable and appropriate use. I think it's well suited to the location, but yeah, just.
And it is on the other side of the drive, more walkable for some people. Makes it different.
Anybody willing to make a motion?
I think your closest competition is the gas station for
Tough
coffee.
competition.
Yeah.
Play lots of Neil Diamond.
Yeah.
All right.
I would move approval with conditions as written by staff.
Wonderful. Is there a second? Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
All right, we can move on to item 7E, and this is a public hearing on the request by Mabel Properties for approval of a zoning permit for a new nail salon, use at 5713 and 5715 Monona Drive. This is case number 2/17/2026. Don't know what I just hit.
Evening, folks. Can you hear
How
me?
are you doing?
Good. My name is Matt Mabey. I'm representing the property as the owner and the tenants this evening, trying to seek approval to return the building to its original, maybe not original use, but at least use that it's been for the last 40 years, and return a nail salon to the building next door to the pharmacy on Monona Drive, 5713 and 5715.
All right. Is there anybody else here in the room to speak on this item during the public hearing section? Seeing none in the room, if there's anybody else online, this would be the time to raise your hand or unmute yourself. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing section. We can go on to 7F, and that's a consideration of action on the request by Mabel Properties for approval of a zoning permit and a new nail salon use at 5713 and 5715, case number 2/17/2026. Henry.
Great, yes. As Chair Holmquist said, this is Maybe Properties proposing a new nail salon at 5713 to 5715 Monona Drive. This will offer manicure and pedicure services to their clients and will operate in 4,025 square feet of the 7,225 square foot main building, which is shared with Mr. Maybe's other business, Forward Pharmacy. Half of the 4,025 square feet space will be built out if permits are secured, leaving the other half for future growth for complementary services as demand increases, and the space is currently vacant. Clients would be seen during business hours Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. and Saturday and Sunday 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. The business is anticipated to serve approximately 6 to 10 customers on site at most times during business hours. The applicant indicated customers can be seen on an appointment or walk-in basis, and the average visit of a customer would be 30 to 50 minutes. There would be an average of 4 nail technicians on site at most times during the day. As business increases, the number of employees would increase. Application materials include a cover letter summary, an existing floor plan, a proposed floor plan, an HVAC plan, and an aerial photo. This was part of the retail business district, and Plan Commission approval is required for zoning permits. Approval for this nail salon use is recommended by staff with conditions listed in the staff report. A public hearing notice was mailed to property owners within 200 feet of the property. In the 2016 comprehensive plan, both current and future land use maps identify the property as commercial use. And a condition of that approval reads, any new tenants shall apply for a zoning permit prior to occupancy. Adjacent uses include a pharmacy, 2 automotive repair shops, meat and deli shop, screen printing shop, osteopathic medicine clinic, and an assisted living facility. The proposed use aligns with the comprehensive plan, and the operating hours are compatible with adjacent uses. This space was vacant previously for over 6 months. There are no proposed modifications to the existing site design and circulation, and for parking, the code specifies that 1 parking stall shall be supplied for every 300 square feet of floor area. This space, being approximately 4,000, necessitates 13 stalls. And materials show that the shared lot just west of the building contains 31 stalls with an additional 9 in front facing Monona Drive. Given the use of 6 to 10 clients at any time with an average visit of under an hour, it is expected parking will be sufficient. Signage and wayfinding for customers will be important to that park in the back lot accessed from Owen Road. And a condition from the 2024 approval reads, the parking lot shall be restriped, and during a site visit, staff saw that the parking lot looked good. Materials indicate over 4,000 square feet of floor space for the proposed use, and they've coordinated HVAC, plumbing, and structural changes. There will be space for up to 19 manicures and 12 pedicures, 9 suite spaces for future expansion, laundry room, break room, storage room, and toilets. The Plan Commission should discuss how they intend to handle the future expansion of the space and if further review is needed by them. The applicant informed staff that in the future a concrete platform and dumpster will be added on the southwest corner of the building. This should be discussed, and it is recommended this coordinated with city staff. No other proposals, modifications are proposed. Landscaping, during a site visit, it looked sufficient. However, on the southwest corner, the plantings looked wilted. The applicant explained that these plantings will be removed when the concrete dumpster is added platform. The hours are included here. There are no modifications to the building's footprint or impervious area. No other lighting changes proposed, and no signage proposed at this time that will require an additional permit. Plans were reviewed with city department heads, and no feedback was received.
All right. Much like the last two, any comments or concerns? Chris?
One, I disagree with staff. I don't think the landscaping looks adequate. If you look at it between the sidewalk and Monona Drive, there's some shrubs that are still left. It used to be full of annuals and flowers. It's mostly weeds and not a lot there right now. I think something needs to be done on that. There used to be planters. If you remember when we allowed them to put that wider sidewalk, I said, well, let's get some planters and some greenery up there somewhere. And I see they're in the back, and whatever was in them is dead. And also, I think it needs to be a condition that dumpster needs to be screened. It needs to be in a reasonable location and screened. We can't just say we might do it sometime in the future. I know a long, long time ago, it used to be where they've got that sitting area for the house. Those are the original dumpster areas, and now it's that fence is still there, but they use it for sitting, which is fine. But I think there has to be some thought into where that's going to be and how it's going to be screened.
According to sheet A2, which is the floor plan, my understanding is that the northern half is going to be built out and that the southern half will be built out future potentially. But right now they're all open as one. There isn't a division between the two. I think you'd want a temporary door, depending on how long the future takes. But I think you'd want to close off the unfinished space just for heating and cooling and other reasons as well.
I don't know. What's the intent of the applicant?
Matt, did you have a question?
I don't. I can, with the demising wall that's between the two spaces.
Yeah.
We can certainly close that up, and then when time is ready, we can open that up pretty easily. The floor is going to get a polished concrete floor, so we'll be able to just put a temporary wall right on top of it. And then the HVAC will be zoned, so we'll be able to shut that side down until they're ready to move in there.
Okay. And did you hear the comments regarding landscaping and trash enclosure? And do you have any questions or concerns about that?
No, I had spoken to somebody, I don't remember if it was Henry or somebody, about the dumpster having an enclosure around it. If I do relocate it to that southwest corner, and the comment that I had back from staff was that since there's no residential around there, it didn't need to necessarily be blocked off. I have no problem putting a fencing up around it just to hide it. I'm hiding it from the back of Ken's and another parking lot, so I guess I'm not sure what the purpose is, but people are going to be walking past it every day when they come into the rear of the building, because we're going to replace the 2 rear doors on the building and make it accessible for customers for the nail salon to come in the back, because there won't be enough parking out front for sure. Kind of like was there when Ultimate was there, people could enter through the back. So we're planning on having people come past there. So personally, I'm going to screen it from the dumpsters, and then we'll clean up that area. And then the front of the building certainly needs the front sidewalk, that some of those bushes need a little care. So I'll take a look at that here as soon as I can.
Okay.
I have never heard of any site in Monona that we said you don't need to screen a dumpster, so I don't know where that would have come from.
I think that was just conversation between me and Matt and my interpretation of the code, but I must have been wrong about that.
Okay. All right. Move approval, condition 1, 2, and 3 is written by staff. Condition 4, dumpster location and screening shall be approved by staff. And condition 5, the landscaping upgrade shall be approved by staff.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Any further clarification or questions? Chris?
I just wanted to ask if there's anybody on the commission that feels they need input on the dumpster location or
No.
screening. Okay.
Well, sorry, I was speaking for me. Sorry.
No, I think it's good.
All right, any questions from the applicant before we take a vote?
I don't think so.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, we can move on. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, folks.
We can move on to 7G, which is the public hearing on the request by Madison Veterinarian Specialist for consideration of a zoning permit for the construction of an addition to the vet clinic at 2704 Royal Avenue. And this is case number 218-2026. And come on up. Thank you guys for your patience tonight. We have a pretty packed agenda, as you can tell. During the public hearing section, give a brief overview of what it is that you're trying to do. We give an opportunity for the public to speak, and then we'll close it and move on to the action item.
Yeah, thank you. John Silbernagel, owner of Madison Veterinary Specialist. So we moved in 2019. We were before you guys a year ahead of that, and we've grown much more than we thought we ever would. We're not at capacity, but we're having trouble getting a few new services in that we don't carry, such as cardiology and things. Just a broader scope of offerings. And so to take us to that next level of referral center, we need more space, with more specialized space in particular. And to do that, of course, this is the project. We knew parking would be an issue, but we were fortunate enough to pick up 3 acres, 1 block over. It just happens to be sitting in the city of Madison. But that parking lot site plan has been developed, and we haven't gone through final approval, but we're pretty much there with Madison. We've been working on it for about 18 months, so it's pretty much a done deal. Just sign the developer's agreement, give us $50K to sit on, and so on and so forth. So, I think that's
okay.
the gist of it. Otherwise, there's
And we can get into some of the details in just a minute. Anybody else here to speak during the public hearing section? Seeing none in the room, if there's anybody online, this would be the time to raise your hand or unmute yourself. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing section, move on to 7H, and that's the pre-hearing conference on the request for Madison Veterinarian Specialist consideration of a zoning permit for the construction of an addition at the vet clinic at 2704 Royal Avenue, and this is case number 218-2026. Henry.
Okay. So this is a redevelopment of 2704 Royal Avenue, which in 2018 to 19 included a new 17,000 square foot office and veterinary clinic. Today, the applicant is seeking a pre-hearing conference on a proposed 18,900 square foot two-story addition on the east side of the existing structure and lot. The existing facility provides 24/7 specialized veterinary care and emergency services, outpatient services, and short-term hospitalizations. All are planned to be expanded with this addition. In 2018, as part of the original approval, the business anticipated employing 60 staff and noted that could double within 5 to 7 years. Following expansion, they plan to employ approximately 125 employees, and that number could double within the next 5 to 7 years. They expect to see 150 to 175 patients per day, mostly between the hours of 8 a.m. and 5 p.m., Monday through Friday. Expansion plans include removal of an existing 25-foot stall surface parking lot, an expanded drive-up drop-off lane, a new freestanding pergola, slightly reconfigured outdoor area on the west side, a new sidewalk to Royal Avenue on the west side, and a new off-site parking lot for staff. The applicant seeks plan commission feedback on the proposed plan, and this is zoned CI Commercial Industrial. All zoning permits must be reviewed by Plan Commission. No formal action is needed at this pre-hearing, but the commission should discuss the proposed addition and evaluate its compatibility with neighboring properties, requirements of the zoning ordinance, and the comprehensive plan. Some suggested discussion points are included in the staff report. A public hearing notice was mailed to property owners within 200 feet of this property. The proposed use was viewed in 2018 as meeting the characteristics of the zoning district and does not propose to substantially change with the proposed building addition. There are no boarding services, large outdoor pet areas, or cremation services on site. Zoning code requires that all sites be required up to 30% in green space, and this proposal exceeds that. There are additional guidance for setbacks. The proposed addition maintains the existing front yard setback along Royal Avenue, 10 feet, and would establish a new building setback of 20 feet along Mangrove Lane. The existing surface parking lot is proposed to be removed on the northeast corner to accommodate the expansion. The existing lot south of the structure is planned to remain unchanged relatively outside of an expanded drop-off pickup lane under the canopy structure. The most substantial change is the location of an off-site parking lot for staff. The commercial office medical use requires a total of 63 spaces, and 25 are proposed to be removed with this expansion, leaving 48 on site, but with the addition of the new lot would provide a total of 145. The proposed design matches the existing design of the structure, and lighting, a proposed lighting plan has been provided. Landscaping plan has been submitted for consideration. New landscaping along the eastern side of the property shows 17 canopy trees proposed. Engineering plans have been provided for the existing site and proposed new off-site lot parcel. 2 new basins proposed directly east of the building addition facing Mangrove Lane. The proposed parcel includes stormwater management on the far south end facing Industrial Avenue. Staff will engage with the city's consulting engineer to review these documents prior to consideration. Signage will require Planning Commission review and approval. No new plans have been provided at this time, and plans were shared with city department heads, and those comments are in the staff report.
Okay. And I need to make note that I closed the public hearing section without indicating that there were two individuals, and I believe it's these two individuals, John and Bill, that they were just submitting their paperwork, that they were registering in favor of the project that they're here to represent. So we'll make sure that it gets entered into the minutes correctly. So I apologize for closing that section without doing that to start with. With that said, I think we started down here before. Let's start down there.
Well, first, I'd like to say that's great that you are so busy that you need to do this. I remember when you moved off the south side, you thought this would be so great to have all these parking stalls and all this room to expand, and you already need to go more. I think it's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How far along are you with the city of Madison? Are you pretty secure in that? Because obviously you're going to need more parking.
Yes, yes. Basically, we could have signed the developer's agreement, but that, commits a certain amount of funds and everything, so I just wanted to be balanced to make sure Monona was on board and all that, and then it's kind of signed, and we've got a cap 2 wells there, but they've pretty much given us approval for everything. We've been at it for 18 months.
Good, because clearly with approval, we need to know that there's off-site parking available. That would have to be
100%.
Conditioned in some way that we're secured that
Yeah,
somebody can't go and buy that lot and you no longer have parking for that building. You wouldn't do it, but if somebody else bought your building, who knows what they might do.
Understood.
And that's what we protect from. And I think I've got to talk about the irony of this, because the applicant just before us, that was Debbie Alfredall's old building, right? And the 3-acre lot you bought was Debbie Offerdahl's lot. She owned it so she could have that billboard. She said it was worth it just for that billboard, what she got on that billboard. So we've got 2 Debbie Offerdahl
That's crazy.
things coming back to back. That is kind of, there's an irony there.
We bought it from the electric company. What's it?
ATC?
No, it's right across from us. Good gracious.
First Electric or Forward?
Yeah.
Forward, maybe.
Forward Electric.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. That's who owned it.
That
That's
was
who purchased it from like 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was originally Debbie's. So
They just did it for the billboard.
she did it for the billboard. It was worth it. She and they wanted the side that the Beltline faced coming eastbound, and she wouldn't sell it, but she made enough off the rent on the backside to more than take care of it. Anyhow, that's a sidebar. I think this is a great use. I'm thrilled that you're doing so well in Monona and expanding. It would be nice if it was Monona Veterinary Services, but I know you're already branded, so we can't do much about that. There's nothing I don't like about it. There's going to be details when you come back, but I'm strongly in favor of this going ahead.
Susan?
I would agree. I think it's a great use, and I've had the same reaction. It was great to hear how successful you've been there. I've made use of your services a couple times with my own dogs, and I appreciated having it there. So nice to see that it's growing. I think that's great. So no concerns, really. Yeah.
Likewise, second all the comments. I think the design solution is incredibly appropriate. I've always been attracted to the uniqueness of the exterior skin, the building, and I'm glad that you're sort of continuing that look. I don't think it'll look like an addition.
Yeah.
The one question I do have is, on the existing building, there's notes about a screen that's hiding mechanical equipment. I assume there's going to be mechanical equipment on the 2-story addition.
Yeah.
Will that be
some
screened?
on the roof, possibly. Yeah, we don't have a mechanical equipment system totally designed yet.
Well, we probably want that screened again, right?
If it's
visible.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
All right.
Be screened
Thanks.
if it was.
Nice project.
All right. Patrick?
Nothing really to add. No, I think it's great use and it's totally appropriate.
All right, Brandon?
Yep. No additional comment. Appropriate use. Congratulations. Yep.
I have nothing further. Anything that you didn't hear from us that you want to make sure that you hear from us, or a comment or a question?
I can't think of anything.
All right. We'll see you on your next submittal then. All right, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Hopefully it won't be as long of a one ahead of you.
Yeah.
That's
You
right.
get
I
the
felt
old
so
business
weird, like-
even first.
Hey, we're not going to promise anything, though.
No.
That's right, you'll be old business.
Thank you all.
All right, thanks. This moves us on to 7I, if I have my numbers and letters correct. And this is a public hearing on the request by Huffman Keel Partners Incorporated for approval of revised landscaping plans addressing conditions associated with the approval of zoning permit for mixed-use building at 6501 Bridge Road, and that's case number 26-2021. Do we have this? All right, Dan.
Hi, Dan.
Hi,
You are
can you hear
up.
me okay?
Yep, we can hear you.
All right. Well, nice to meet you all. I'm with Huffman Keel. I'm the owner's rep, representing the bank as the new owner of the building, or current owner of the building. As you know, this property has kind of been a bit of an eyesore over this past few months. The construction has mostly completed. It's the property has kind of sat without an owner, and so we are essentially the property's in receivership, and we are helping the bank to get it across the finish line. Part of which includes completing the landscaping for the property, which I'm sure you would all be happy to see some trees and greenery on that property. So this landscape revision really just tries to capture some changes that were made during construction, which I believe were unapproved, such as surface parking that was added. I believe there's 5 stalls that were added behind the property. And yeah, ultimately we're just trying to get it across the finish line and get it planted out and get a certificate of occupancy so that this building can have a life.
All right, thank you. I'm just shuffling my papers here. Hang on a second. There's nobody here for the public hearing section in the room that wants to speak. If there's anybody else online, this would be the time to unmute yourself or raise your hand. Not seeing any, we'll close the public hearing section. And then we can go on to the condition, or 7J, consideration of action on the request by Huffman Keel Partners for the approval of a revised landscaping plan addressing the conditions associated with the approved zoning permit for a mixed-use building at 6501 Bridge Road, case 26-2021. Henry.
Yes, this is a review of the landscaping plan for 6501 Bridge Road, aka Besa. This review was required per a condition from the original approval from 2022, and submitted materials include a revised landscaping plan based off previous landscaping discussions, as well as a list of native and non-native species used. The previously submitted plan is also included for context. A condition of the 2022 approval required additional canopy trees to be included, and previously Plan Commission had voiced a desire for more native species. The 2026 landscaping plan contains the same number of canopy trees, although more dispersed, and a greater number of native planting points. The point value of both canopy and native plantings has increased versus the 2022 plan, in part due to the larger caliper size of the trees. The point value exceeds the minimum required for on-site parking, but falls short of what was previously presented. It is the opinion of staff that more plantings could be included to further enhance the site, and seeks commission feedback on type and location for those. Previous Besa landscaping discussions are included here in the staff report, and no additional landscaping comments were found in several other documents where Besa was discussed. The standards in attachment 2 of the zoning code require 1 canopy tree for every 12 parking stalls, and site plans indicate a total of 66 stalls, necessitating 6 canopy trees, minimum 2-inch caliper. Submitted plans show 11 canopy trees of 2-inch caliper, exceeding the required amount. Additionally, 15 landscaping points for every 1 parking stall would be required. Site plans indicate a total of, again, 66 stalls, necessitating 990 landscaping points. Submitted plans show 140 plantings, totaling 1,027 points, exceeding the required amount. Note additional parking stalls are planned for adjacent to the site by the development, and the commission may choose to consider these in the calculations. Table is included here of the 2022 versus 2026 plan, and there is a short section about BESA ownership change, and staff still thinks this remains an exciting and beneficial redevelopment project for the city. Staff is seeking a review from Plan Commission on this landscape plan. Staff suggests the following points of discussion, and the Plan Commission may choose to approve, approve with conditions, table, or deny the request.
All right. Anybody wishing to start? Rob's not here, so. Chris, I saw your hand.
I wish Rob were here, he'd be perfect for here, but I still feel that we need more canopy trees there. I mean, these terraces are virtually none, and I can see spots looking at for another 6 canopy trees. As far as all the natives are, that's not a question for me. I think that'd be for Rob. I would suggest if we want to approve, we approve it with a final landscaping plan approved by staff, if they can get some context from tonight's discussion, what everybody else thinks too.
You're a ghost.
I'm not sure where the feedback's coming from, so.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, any other comments?
Somebody's got their mic on.
John?
Can I ask a question, Chris?
Absolutely.
So I would agree with you, but they exceeded the points.
Okay.
So are you saying that please add,
No.
and then you can take some other things away?
No,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Just wanted for
You
clarity.
probably weren't here when we approved this, and I should have mentioned this first. When they came, the first time they came, we said, this is a high visibility corner.
Yeah.
This is a 4-sided architecture. We expect more than the minimum here on a site like this.
Which they are doing more than the minimum.
Barely.
Okay.
I mean, we say more than the minimum.
I just want to be clear to
Yeah.
them that you're
Yeah.
saying add, not
Oh, yeah.
add and take away.
No,
Okay.
for me, I'm saying clearly
I
there
agree.
needs to be
Okay.
more there.
Thanks.
Other members?
No additional comments?
Is staff comfortable with knowing what the context was of tonight's conversation? And is there any way we can do this and be able to have Rob just consult with staff on anything?
Yeah, there could be a condition that indicates that staff works with the developer as well as consulting with the commission member.
I don't know that that's appropriate, but I could ask staff if they would consult with him, and that staff works with developer for the final plan based on tonight's conversation.
Yeah. That seems to be.
Okay.
I have my glasses on, I still can't read your name. Is it Dan?
Dan, yeah,
Dan,
sorry.
Yeah, Dan, were you able to hear us clearly enough to know that what we're considering is an additional item to be in the approval that would indicate that staff would work with you as well as one of our commission members as a consultant, who's a landscape architect as well, to work with you on the revisions as well as incorporating, looking at the original expectations for the site with these revised plans for formal approval.
Yeah, I think that's fine. Yeah, I mean, excuse me. Ultimately, you know, we want to make sure this building is, you know, as you see fit, and you know, I think the bank and the you can call the bank the developer in this case, given the receivership, but you know, ultimately we want to get this project completed, and you know, like I said earlier, we want it to have a life. So,
yep.
You know, whatever we need to do to make that happen.
Okay.
So, yeah, I think that's more than fair.
All right, thank you. Chris?
And just as an explanation, since he wasn't here on all these other ones, the recommendation from our natives came from Rob.
Yeah.
He's the one that wanted to talk about it, which is why if we can have some discussions with him, that would be helpful. I'll move approval of the plans as presented with additional landscaping as talked about tonight with final approval by staff.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All right, any further questions, comments? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
All right, we are hitting the home stretch here. We're on 7K, and this is a public hearing on the request by Speedway Super America LLC, represented by Total Image Solutions, and this is the approval of a sign permit for a new comprehensive signage plan at 2500 Royal Avenue, case number S10-2026. And is it David?
Yes, hello. How you
Awesome,
doing?
David. You're here for the public hearing section. You get an opportunity to share generally what it is that you're trying to do. Gives the public an opportunity to speak if they choose to. Then we'll close that section and move on to the last item, which is the consideration of action. So the floor is yours.
Okay, great. My name is David Hudgens. I'm with Total Image Solutions. I'm here representing Speedway and Tabitha Golding. What we're trying to do here is we're trying to improve the signage at a location that it's gotten a little aged. It's a Speedway currently, and they want to convert over to a mobile, as well as their diesel canopy. They want the 7 fleet. But everything that we've done is we've designed everything so that it's a seamless transition. All of the signage should be almost a like-for-like transition. Some of the colors will change, but everything else, like brightness and things, have been taken into consideration, and square footages should be closely matched. So we're hoping that we can, get approved for this and just move forward and go with this mobile 7 fleet image and make everything look nice again.
All right. All right, thank you. We can, if there's anybody here to speak on the public hearing section, there's nobody in the room. If there's anybody online, this would be the time to raise your hand or unmute yourself. Not seeing any, we'll close the public hearing section, go on to 7L. And this is consideration of action on the request by Speedway Super America LLC, represented by Total Image Solutions. This is for approval of a sign permit for a new comprehensive signage plan at 2500 Royal Avenue, case S10-2026. Henry.
Yes. Speedway Super America LLC proposing a new comprehensive signage plan at 2500 Royal Ave to reflect a rebranding from Speedway to Mobile and 7 Fleet Diesel. The CSP includes plan for refacing the existing electronic fuel price display, landscape ground sign, fuel canopy signage for 2 canopies, fuel pump signage, and a new wall sign. Proposed signage includes ground sign with electronic fuel price signage, gas canopy signage, diesel canopy signage, dispenser signage, and a new wall sign. This parcel is zoned Community Design District, and the staff recommendation is approval of the comprehensive signage plan with finding of fact and conditions listed in the staff report. The sign standards for each sign are listed as well. Some notes: for the landscape ground sign, ground signs are required to be integrated with site landscaping. During a site visit, minimal landscaping was observed around the sign. The fuel price display sign, there are previous approved exceptions for other gas stations are included here. Typically, electronic signs are only allowed for institutional information signs. The fuel canopy signage, the applicant is proposing to rebrand the existing fuel canopy signage, and it will feature 24-inch tall striping in corporate colors, as the diesel canopy signage will include something similar. Fuel pump signage is included as part of this plan, as well as a new wall sign. And something of note, it was observed close to this meeting that the pylon sign plan was not included, even though a pylon sign exists on site. So this can be a point of discussion. Yeah.
All right, David, I think we'll start with the most obvious one. You're keeping the pylon sign, correct?
As far as I can tell on everything, this other signage is being removed. I don't see anything on the pylon sign, and I don't believe that we're allowed to keep that. You know, as far as we can tell, that's not going to be grandfathered in, I don't believe.
Chris?
Hi, we allow those type of signs in that district. It's right in the, it's clearly in the district where we allow that type of sign.
Yeah. But if the applicant is putting together a new comprehensive signage plan for the property and they don't include the pylon sign, wouldn't they need to come back for the pylon sign if they want to rebrand that?
Absolutely. 100%.
Yes, and the pylon sign, for all I know, could have actually been missed on this. I don't know. And so I will have to revisit that. I don't want to say for sure that we're going to remove it.
Sure. Yeah, I doubt you're going to remove it.
You're right. And everything that I'm saying here, you're right. There's no, it doesn't address that pylon at all. I've definitely seen it on Google Earth and Google Maps, and we'll have to revisit that.
Okay. And so maybe that's one of the discussion points that we can have if people are comfortable of possibly adding that in as a part of the motion. Could be a consideration to have that approved at a staff level if it's consistent with the other signage rebranding. So that way the applicant wouldn't need to come back. Just given that the property and how we all know how it's used, that it seems obvious that the pylon sign should be part of it. So if anybody is willing to start off with feedback? Chris?
I'm really willing tonight. Question, the landscape ground sign, you've got a little thing on there that says cash, and you have something up above that says it's going to toggle. Does that mean your intention is to have changing numbers and changing like credit or cash going on there? Because that's not allowed.
Okay. And so that was something that we were proposing. I didn't know if we would be allowed to do this in this location or not.
The time you have to have for that toggle is extensive. It wouldn't do any good for people driving by, and if we allowed that, people would be distracted trying to see what is toggling back and forth with instead of paying attention to all the traffic at that intersection. So that would be a new one that we've never done.
Yeah, I think the closest we've done is a digital.
Is it something like 2 minutes between, or 5 minutes
no,
between?
I think 7 or 8.
Changes?
Our ordinance is quite a bit
It's
because
up there.
we
It's
don't
pretty
want
close.
the reason is for distracted driving. See that little cash there and that little mention there that's going to toggle.
Yeah.
And especially at this intersection, I believe that would be a traffic hazard.
It means if it's cash, you get the price, and then it toggles.
It
to
toggles
other-
to people back to cash
Exactly.
and credits. That number is changing all the
gas
time.
station is not at an intersection, but the sign is. The sign is at an intersection.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
The sign is at an intersection, you're right. The gas station is not, but the sign is.
Couldn't understand.
Yeah, he's saying that the gas station is at one location.
I'm agreeing with you on no toggle.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry if I'm not hearing, but this
Yeah.
fan, I
I
already
know.
turned it down one notch. It's right here.
Sorry. Now, I'm
Okay.
agreeing with you that
Okay.
there's no toggle,
So
no
there'd be-
toggle on it.
So there'd be no toggling. Second, there's a makeshift sign on a light pole when you come in the one driveway with a bunch of gas prices. I don't believe that's ever been approved, and I believe we only approved the one sign with prices. I don't think we ever did a third one, and I can't believe we'd have done the one. Where you come in that lower driveway, it's just hanging on there.
Manual, yes, you're talking about a manual changeable
Yeah,
sign.
that's not been
light.
approved. And you didn't put
That
it in your,
should be,
you didn't put it
that
in your.
will be removed.
Thank
That'll be
you,
removed.
That is
thank you,
removed.
because it's
That's
not
not
in your
part of the
application,
policy.
it's never really been allowed.
Okay, yeah. I don't know if the owner put it up at some point, but it will be removed.
Thank you.
That's not part of our plan.
And then, you're proposing a cabinet sign on the building, and we require individually lit, channel letters.
Okay, so we would do we can do that.
Okay, and then on the canopy, if you see Speedway has individually lit channel letters, but we have also allowed on canopies, if this is flush with the fascia, if you make this part of the fascia, it's perfectly fine the way you have it. We've allowed it both ways. What we wouldn't want to see would be a cabinet sign on top of the fascia. Does that make sense?
So what this is it is a sign that's built into the fascia, and just the illuminated portion protrudes from the fascia.
Perfect. I just want to be clear that that's it. So it's built right into the fascia.
Yes, and so it's similar to a channel letter, but it's shallower.
Yep. No, I get it. We've done it both ways on the service station, so that's perfectly fine.
All right.
That's all I had.
Any other questions, comments, or motions?
Move approval, finding of fact number 1, if you could rewrite it just a little bit. An exception for the electronic message sign to display fuel prices. Insert is an existing condition and is warranted. I'd like it to talk about that. That is an existing condition that's already been allowed there. Okay?
Yeah.
And then the other 2 is written, and conditions 1, 2, 3, and 4 is written. Condition 5, that the proposed building sign shall be individually lit channel letters in lieu of a cabinet sign. And condition 6, that there's no toggle allowed on the landscape ground sign.
Yes.
Give you just a second, make sure you got it all.
And then condition 7, that if the proposed signage comes back to staff and is consistent on the pylon sign, that we allow staff to approve that. Is that what your finger was up above? You know, that one pains me. That one hurts me.
Well, it was to make sure that he's writing it down here.
Okay.
I tried to help Henry with the catching up to the comments. All right, we're good.
We need a second. All right. A second to the motion so we can talk about it.
And is there a second?
Second.
Okay. So for the applicant, what that did is it allows you to go back with, you don't have to come here again, you can go back with staff, and if that pylon sign is reasonable and looks similar to the rest of the rebranding and what was there, staff can approve it. If they can't and they have a question, then they'll bring it back to us.
Okay, great. Thanks.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Thank you much, sir. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Y'all too. Good night.
All right. Item 8A, 1 through 5. Henry, is there anything you want to highlight? We don't feel obligated, but here's the sheet.
Okay. I was not told anything by Mr.
Perfect.
Doug Plowman, so
We'll
I
skip
will
items
not speak.
1 through 5. Item 8B, any questions that the commission has for staff that we can take back and then bring back? Chris?
I have a big one. You know, it's been in the news a lot with the school district and selling properties and everything. Have we as a city been in contact with them and let them know that we've approved 2,000 dwelling units? Now, I know they're apartments, but even apartments with 2,000 new dwelling units, and applied population said that our population is going to go down, our school-age children. And I just can't see that that information's been forwarded to them when they did that analysis. Because even if you had one kid out of every 6 buildings, I mean, that would be hundreds of new kids in the district. And I just want to make sure that we as a community, as probably the council, I mean, the commission's approved them, are getting that message to the schools so that when they do this study, it's not a faulty study.
Susan
Well, I
probably
think
has
they-
firsthand knowledge.
Well, kind of sort of more the first second. I don't pay as close attention as I used to, but they did do a presentation on how many kids are coming from apartments so far, and they're very few.
Yeah, but what?
And so,
But
you know.
some do.
Some do, but it's like a total of 20. I mean, it's just not, it's
by
not many.
That's saying.
And then they're scattered among different grades. Well, it's 20 out of one complex, and then a couple here and a couple
that might
there.
be,
So,
but
yeah.
with 2,000 units, 20 would be one kid for every 100 apartment units. No way.
Well, but again, you need 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, and we don't have many of those. So they're
Understood.
finding the same thing in Cottage Grove, and where they've built a lot of apartments, and they're getting very few kids out of them. That's why they're closing Taylor Prairie, because But I will say also, the population lab has always been wrong about Monona. They
Always.
always underestimate
I
the
was
growth.
back on the building
Always.
committees
That's
30
true.
years ago, and they were
Yeah.
wrong then.
Yeah, they always are. So,
And Carpsey was right.
But
Bill
the-
Grabowski.
but the other issue is you need to have a continuous influx of new kids to replace the ones who go through the elementary school. So in terms of actual crowding and needing more space, I don't know how much of an issue that really is.
I can share that. I know that the city, in their conversations with anything formal back and forth, would be including what is going on in the city,
Right.
which would include any recent and upcoming development. So we can definitely continue to share that message to make sure that we're providing accurate information of what's in the pipeline for us around development if we have any additional information.
I don't want to make a huge deal, but could you just confirm that that study was aware of that many units being
Sure.
added?
Yeah, we can do that.
Because it doesn't seem possible.
You know it, right? All right. Any other questions? John?
Two quick comments, and I think they're kind of appropriate for tonight's meeting. One is, last meeting, or meeting before that, I brought up the concept of consent agenda for
Mhm.
no-brainer items. Did that go anywhere, or can it go anywhere?
It can go somewhere.
Okay,
It hasn't
be
yet.
nice to- And then the other option, or the other discussion point was, it would seem logical to reverse tonight's agenda, in that we make people that are looking for approval wait and wait and wait for very conceptual, big picture, long-lasting items. It just doesn't seem fair to the people that have already gone through that step, perhaps? Just a comment.
I agree. That's
Yeah.
why we have an agenda item that allows us to change the order.
Okay.
I agree too, and I think technically, if you change it, you have to vote on it. I don't know, you would check that, but I thought the same thing. I mean, I think it was clear that those other items were gonna be much quicker, and then to make people sit that long.
Although tonight, the room would have been warmer longer, so maybe it was good that we did it that way.
And they
All
get
right,
a,
that's all.
they get a civics education.
Right, true.
All right. Item 9, need a motion for adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Thank you guys for the long meeting. Thank you, Henry. Your first commissioner meeting.
Yes.
You did well.
Hey, Chris.
Thank you. Sir.
I was worried that you weren't gonna approve the death trap coffee.
Because?
Because you didn't get the black tea.